What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth. Joining me as always is Ronnie, Big Smooth Hennigan. Smooth, what's happening, man?
Mel, not a whole lot, bro. Just another
Uh,
exciting weekend of ball, you know what I mean? But at the same time, man, well, you know what? We'll scratch all that. Look, we'll get into it. We'll talk more about the things that have happened because a lot of upsets, you know how I feel about those. So I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to go.
all right, well, we gonna touch on the NFL since that's the closest thing going on right now. Obviously, we all saw it. The Raiders win a ugly game, 16 to 6 against the Browns, and
Hmm.
I'll be the first to admit I was completely wrong about this game. I did not expect the Raiders' offensive line to dominate the way that they did because what I was thinking was,
Hmm.
uh, you know, hey, Browns have a dynamic offense. They've been scoring 30 points a game in five of the 8 games they've played. Uh, they've been holding on to the ball. They've been running the ball very well. I did not take into consideration that the Raiders actually had an offensive line. They've just played a tough schedule these first 8 games. So
Hmm.
with that, I will take this loss on the chin and admit that I was wrong. Derek Carr must have heard me talking about it, or he must have saw what I wrote and didn't take lightly to it. But it is what it is. Um, for those that are watching and are Browns fans, keep this in mind. It is the bye week that the Browns are going into. Nick Chubb comes back after the bye week. Uh, they're still 5-3 and 2 games above 500 going
Hmm.
into the bye. You need to keep that in mind because this is one of those things where you did not expect the Browns to be where they are, but they are. And even with them losing, they're still in good shape. So keep that in mind and don't get your heads all rattled because they do got a lighter half of the schedule after the bye week. The first 2 games, they're playing the Texans and they're playing the Eagles. The Eagles are playing tonight and they're playing the Cowboys. We already know, as far as the Browns are concerned, they are 2 games up against the NFC East, beating Washington and
Hmm.
beating Dallas. So they are basically looking like they're gonna take the first possible three in that division, but we'll wait and see. Uh, just don't be so hard on the Browns, man. I've been telling
Not to
people that
mention,
all.
because like you said before, man, this is a team where we looked at the Raiders. They had a hard, first 8 games in their schedule. And then also, they actually are one of the better teams on the road. So with this win, that makes them now 3-1 on the road, where the Browns are now 3-1 at home. So you put a really good team that normally is 3-1 at home and a team that's 3-1 away. With that happening, you have a scenario where it's like, okay, I'm gonna match up my best, your best when it comes to like statistics and how we're doing, whether it be at home versus away. And it looks like right now Las Vegas had that edge, and like you said too,
But
they dominated the line of scrimmage, right? Because you figure this was the first team that consistently put the rushing right down the throat of the Browns defensive line on a consistent basis. They had a couple of stops behind the line, but nothing significant outside of the 2 sacks that Vernon got, and then of course the one that a few other players had kind of tackled onto. But the thing is, though, with this line and what they were doing with Miles Garrett today was a big point part of that too, because he was getting double, but he
hmm
also had another running back behind that side that he was on. In case the 2 guys that were already blocking him couldn't block him, they had another running back waiting for Garrett.
and
So they had a game plan for him that took him out the game.
but that was also smart on their part because they know
Hmm.
Garrett has been on the on a tear,
Yep.
and even against the Steelers, he was getting he was getting back there. And the crazy part about that is Steelers. are still the only undefeated team in the NFL in the entire league, and now they're in a position to where they could possibly take the division. But
Mhm.
with that being said, I did want to throw this out there to you. With the Ravens losing to the Steelers today, and I brought this up in Cleveland Sports Talk with my colleagues over there. Shout out to them guys. But I brought this up because I thought this would have been very, very interesting. Now, hear me out on this. Suppose with the Ravens losing to the Steelers, that this sets the Browns up to possibly steal the division.
Mm, it's actually hard. It's man, it's hard to say really because I think where I'm at is I have to remove the first two games that they played against those two teams because they've already swept Cincinnati. And
Hmm.
call me crazy, but I feel like there is a chance that Cincinnati might be able to pull an upset against Baltimore this season. I don't see them
Baltimore,
doing it against Pittsburgh, but Baltimore,
well,
they
Baltimore
you
is a
know
possibility if they can get that defense healthy. They have a decent defense. It's not a
they
bad
do,
defense.
they do, yeah,
It's just beat up. So that's not the problem I'm having with that. The problem I'm having with that is the offensive production. Now we've seen the Browns against the Ravens and the Steelers. It was not pretty either game. Now when you're bringing up the Bengals against the Steelers and the Ravens, you have to take into consideration. If I'm not mistaken, the Ravens have already played the Bengals, but
hmm
a subpar offensive line, rookie quarterback, and remember how I said that the Steelers saved their exotic stuff for the Browns. Same deal against the Bengals. They saved a lot of exotic stuff for quarterbacks who they have to see every year, which gives the Steelers defensively a very good leg up. And I'm never
yep,
going to take that away from them because if they don't do nothing else, it's always defense. So what I'm thinking is it's possible. It's possible, assuming that Bengals defense goes into that game healthy, and assuming they can keep Joe Burrow upright. If they can keep Joe Burrow upright, strong
hmm
possibility. Nothing's out of the realm of possibility in my book. But a lot of work to be done. You got to bring in a healthy defense. You got to keep your quarterback up because if he's laying on his back all game, it's not gonna happen.
true,
But I proposed that because I was curious because I thought with that, like I with the Ravens losing to the Steelers, I really think that is not a far fetched idea that the Browns should sneak in and steal the division because looking at it in that reality, Steelers are the only undefeated team in the league left. Uh, you're 2 games up over the Bengals. You swept them, so you're 2 games up. You get round two with Pittsburgh. You get round two with Baltimore. The point differential, if it comes down to it, but I don't think it will. But if you beat those two and uh, you've already beaten the Bengals, it's up to those two to duke it out last.
true,
And one of them has to take 2 losses in order for the Browns to take the division. One of them has to take either 2 or 3 losses. The Bengals could possibly steal one from either Baltimore or Pittsburgh. I'm not going to sit there and say
hmm
they could. It's possible they could, but I could see them honestly if they were going to steal one. I see them stealing it from the Steelers. Either Steelers don't care at that point; they're already in the playoffs, or it was just a surprise game where they're sitting a lot of people. Whatever the case is, I do think it's possible. It's more possible from stealing it from the Steelers than it is the Ravens. But they showed me they would be hard pressed to get that win if it's the Steelers or the Ravens because that was a close game all game. That was a back and forth game. And
It
the
was, yeah.
Steelers once again stopped the top runner from scoring or getting a first down without a problem. Last week they stopped Derrick Henry on the goal line. This week they stopped Lamar Jackson and make him fumble. So if the Browns can pull this off round two, that would be the biggest surprise of the season. But I'm waiting to see how they pull out these first two games coming off the bye. You got Philly and you got Houston. Both of them are at home,
Hmm.
and both of them are very winnable games. I want to see how they do against the Texans and the Eagles before I just start saying they can take the division. I'm not giving it to them just yet, and I'm not saying they can't win it, but I need to see more second half of the season. And thankfully for the Browns, this bye week comes at the right time because they need Chubb. They need to take the stress off of Baker because Baker's literally his last two games, even the one against Cincy where they won, Baker's looking like he needs to make every throw on every play, and that's not what they were using to win those 4 or 5 games before that.
Very true. Very true. Because you figure not having Chubb makes that difference. Not because it is just Chubb, but the fact that this offense works best with that 1-2 punch and being able to have both
Mm-hmm.
him and Kareem Hunt, they stay fresh the whole game, which is scary as hell. Because you figure you got somebody like Hunt who actually is a legitimate third down receiver as well, because he can run routes and catch. So this is something that we know. He has a very sneaky wheel route as well too, because him coming out the backfield, man, it's like when you get him to get momentum as he's catching the ball, it's very hard to stop him, right?
Very.
So the comment I made to you earlier during the Raiders game when I was talking about Abram, and I don't know if he was just out majority of the season or whatever, because they kept saying like, "Oh, they got him back," because that dude was in on like every play, and every hit that he threw was like textbook. Because you know, with somebody like Kareem Hunt, you can't just do that whole like, "I'm gonna run in, shoulder tackle this dude up top." You got
Yeah,
to
you
cut his
got to.
legs every time,
And he was
and that was
in
some
on tackle.
every tackle, man. He was on it. I mean, I meant to check the stats just to see how many he got, but I was looking and I'm like, he's literally there every single play, every single play. So that boy was
I can,
fresh. You know what I'm
I can
saying?
actually set up for you right now.
Because I ain't never seen a man so fresh after like 7 games. I'm like, this dude is ready. Like he must have been sitting for a minute because he was like fresh, super fresh legs. It was just crazy. He was in on everything. And the thing is, when you have someone carrying a load like that, can he handle a load? Yeah. But the way the offense is designed is meant to have that 1-2 punch, man. Just meant for it. It changes up what the defense is looking for. They're looking in the backfield, going, okay, is this person getting the ball? Or are they not? Because beforehand, when it was Chim and Chubb, you knew when Chubb was in the game, there's a strong chance he probably was going to end up running it. And when Kareem was in the game, you had no idea. You're like, okay, I don't know if he's going to run or if he's going to catch. I have no idea. So we got to like play a little bit of softer coverage, drop some guys back, you know what I mean, and kind of go from there. So I look at it and I go, okay, what adjustments can be made now to kind of help them out? Do they get Chubb back when they do, let's say, his upcoming game because of the bye week and him come off the NCL? Are they going to be back at the same strength? Me, I'm more excited about it if they get Teller back for that game as well because that was a huge part of it.
Abram had Abram had 4 tackles and they were all solos.
Oh, for Solo, okay. So he was
Oh
just
wait,
there.
wait, we got it. Oh, there he is. Let's see where Jake. Yep. Oh, that's not. We thought we had special guest on Chase Gamble, but hopefully he'll pop back up. But Yeah, Abram had 4 tackles, and him coming back shows that you know uh, he's a threat on defense because him tackling and him being able to tackle like that back to form shows you that it's a it's a newfound life in that defense.
Yep.
And when he was out, defense did not look the same without him.
Not at
It's
all.
true. So now that he's back and he's not afraid of Kareem Hunt or dare I say Derrick Henry, it might be a resurgence with that defense, and that defense might be looking a little bit better come second half of their season.
That's a team I would definitely look out for because you figure they were able to steal one from the Chiefs, right? First half of the season, they got to play them again.
Hey, hey,
So it'd be so that's what I'm saying. Like division
no
wise, man, it's
different.
looking real good for them. Because
It
I
is.
had either
It
them
is
or
because
the Chiefs breakthrough.
they still got Denver, and
Mm-hmm.
Denver's not playing bad, but I don't nobody picked to win the division. And then
Right.
they still have
You get the Chargers.
who else? Yeah, that's who it is. And
They
the
play the
Chargers
Chargers next Sunday,
are
actually.
well, we'll see because if they go 2 games up on their division, beating the Chiefs,
Mm-hmm.
beating the uh beating the Chiefs and beating the Chargers next week, that could be real.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of the devil, Chase, what's happening?
What's going on? What's going on with y'all, man? How y'all doing, man? You know, man, I
Hey,
don't
we
know what's going
doing.
on.
The whole
This little
we
my little
we
connection was out there at the crazy, man. I tried to get on top with y'all, man. I don't know, man. I was trying to this little connection, man. This little silly on the boy for a little second though, but we in here. We good though. We right here. What's going on, man? Talk to me, man.
Yeah,
yeah,
Gan,
we
what's
chatting
good with
about
you, man?
Man, you know, man, I'm out here trying to make it, Ronnie. You already know what's going on, man. One day at a
I hear
time
yeah,
on
you,
man.
this
bro.
joint, man. Ain't nothing to it.
I hear you. I hear you, bro. I hear you, man. Same here, man. Same here.
Yeah, we all
It's
trying
funny, man.
to make it wild out here
Yeah,
right now.
I was thinking about it, man. I was like, it's just cool because anytime I see anybody, man, from the wood, man, it's like day two, like we ain't never left, man. It just pick right back
Right.
up.
For
It's
sure, though.
crazy.
You know how this go, man.
Yeah,
Connection and
man.
denial, when it comes to that. But I heard y'all been talk. I heard y'all was talking a little bit about the Browns though, a little bit. Um, yeah, man. I don't know. This game right here is kind of one of them games where it's like you we look back on like December, we gonna be like, oh, we needed this game. You know what I mean? Like this is one of them games you kind of left on the table. We kind of needed that game. I ain't really see like Oakland. I ain't really see like my bad saying Oakland because I'm still ain't used to hitting them with the Vegas. But
Yeah, that's
All
the
right,
weird.
Raiders, yeah, it's crazy. It's really crazy. Just like that Washington, like the Washington football team. Like it's just like come on, man. Like I ain't never had to say this before in my life. Now I got to say it now. But anyway, though, like
Yeah.
the Raiders ain't really that good of a team. Like that's a game that we should win. I just don't. I feel like at times the offense is just. I don't really know what to say about the offense after this game. I really don't. You know what I'm saying? Like I was watching it with my co partner on my podcast, whatever, or in the post podcast. We watching the game together, and in the third quarter, I think the Raiders had two long, super long drives, like two 8 minute, almost 9 minute drives at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's like the way the Browns is set up right now, like y'all was saying, the way the Browns is set up, the Browns should be taking advantage of stuff like that. Like it just like the offense is just like this. They in and out. They're not on the field long enough for me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Chubb doing Chubb gonna be back. Like Chubb gonna be back next week or 2 weeks from now because we in a bye week this week coming up, right?
Yep.
yep,
Exactly.
So Chubb will be back. So with Chubb back, I think the running game may look a little bit better. But as far as his decision making is concerned, I just don't know where it is. I can't find it. Like,
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna say this though, because that is a good point you brought up when you talk about possession. So first half stat, right? It said that out of the 30 minutes they got in the first half, the Raiders had the ball for 18 and a half minutes in the first half, and the Browns had it for 11 and a half minutes. That is
That's a 30-minute
trash.
half. That's a
You ain't even
30-minute
had a
half.
whole right. You ain't even
right
not
there.
even a whole quarter. Not even a whole quarter worth of time that you had the ball in the first half. That says a lot right there. So their game plan, well, you know what? Let's look at time of possession because against teams that run the ball well or who may get a little bit of a groove going if you give them enough time. This is one of those teams. And like you said with that offense, man, they're the kind of offense that needs more time to even get it going. So when you keep that ball at their hands, man, and get that defense tired, I mean, it is what it is,
Yeah.
man. We saw that.
Like me and
It's like,
him, like me and him would say to each other. I feel like the offense or the Browns. I don't know what was going on, but the defense second half, they weren't playing no more. Right? Let's just be real. They weren't playing no more, man. Like Jacobs was doing whatever he wanted, man, at times, and I'm just like, what? Like this, like Tampa Bay ain't really like Tampa Bay defense is not like, oh my God, this is just the greatest defense ever. Their defense ain't like that. But I just seen last week how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did the Raiders though.
Yeah.
We got some impact players on defense. Like, come on,
mm-hmm.
man. It like Tampa Bay ain't that. Like, I don't know. They might win the Super Bowl. They might get to the Super Bowl. I mean, I know with the AB acquisition and all that, it may look like Tom may get another one. It may. I'm not sure because you still got the Chiefs. You still got Steelers, Ravens,
Mm-hmm.
Packers, things like that. But our defense ain't that different than theirs though, for real. To the point to where they got like 45 points on them. We couldn't even get what we had 6 points.
Yeah, we had 6 points and had a touchdown called back.
That was
That
actually a
touchdown
touchdown.
callback was it.
I disagree. I disagree with the ref. That was a
It was a little,
touchdown. It was close, but it was a touchdown. And the ref, I feel like the ref got that wrong, and that was a big momentum shift. That
that was a
killed
huge
everything.
momentum shift. That killed
Yeah,
the
it
whole
was,
game.
but see, that's the whole thing though with a play like that. But then like a couple plays beforehand with the pass to I want to say I forget who was the receiver on the Raiders where they pulled that touchdown back. That was like
Oh,
wait, it could
that
have got ugly. It could have probably got 20 something. You see what I'm saying? Like this
Yeah,
game
that's
was weird.
true.
Like I said, like this game was like really weird. Like it was just weird on weird. I'm just like this game looking real weird to me. And
Hey,
this is a
not to
game that I
mention,
was like,
yeah, I'm with you, man. Because not to mention, like you had a couple of drop passes that were key too. So as much as we was pumping up Njoku about changing his, approach and how he was starting to catch balls, he dropped a crucial one. Could have been a first down, and they would have been driving down the
Jarvis
field
dropped
on
the
that.
ball.
Jarvis dropped a couple of them, though. Not just that,
That was
that little
out.
bobble touchdown. He dropped a
but
few of
see,
them boys.
that's the whole thing though about that Bible touchdown, man. Like I know that's his boy and everything, but all right, man. I don't need to be seeing him throwing up the 1-3. I don't need to see that, bro. Like I'm sorry. Like I know that's your dude and all that. I respect it, but it's just like, come on, man. Like I said, you dropping passes and stuff, but as soon as you catch a little something, you like, oh, Dale forever. Like what? Like come on, bro. We try to win football games, man. Like I understand how you know what I'm saying. Like LSU, they like brothers, whatever. I get it. It's like my partner was just talking about it. I'm looking at him like, man, bro, what he doing? He putting up. What he doing? I'm like, he celebrating. He 1-3, 1-3. I'm just like, bro, come on,
Yeah.
bro. And it's just ironic that they called that one back too. I'm just like, bro, come on, man. Like, listen,
You-
man, I don't know, man, with the Browns. Sometimes the Browns be dealing with a whole lot of extra stuff. And for a team that ain't really been to the playoffs in so long, I don't know why they get caught up in that type of stuff so much. They get caught up in the low hype, man. The
My
Browns,
thing is
the
too.
past couple years, they get caught up in that shit, man. I don't know what they
They
do.
their own, they their own worst enemy right now. They
Yeah,
beating
but
themselves.
but it could change. It can change. You get your best player or one of your best players coming back. So
Yeah, and then I mean,
time will
the
tell.
winnable.
Huh.
They got one of the most winnable. They got one of the most winnable schedules in the league.
Yeah, they
To be
suck their
honest,
ass
they
last
have
year.
winnable. At the end of the game, what they got? They got the They I think they play the Titans. They play the Steelers. They play the Ravens. Those are the three games. It's kind of like, okay, we're gonna see. But we see what the Bengals did to the Titans just today. Like what?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Put
come on,
31 on them,
man.
man. It's
Like
crazy
I'm
because they.
actually glad. I'm actually glad you brought that up because my next question was gonna be: we've seen the Ravens and the Steelers game, and we see the Steelers beat the
Mhm.
Titans, beat the Ravens, and then they beat the Titans last week. So my question to you, gentlemen, are we buying into the Steelers now, or are we're still waiting? Is the jury still out?
as long as they got Ben Roethlisberger, man. I mean, in the climate of the division, I say I'll put some stock into them. Their defense been looking better in the past few years. It's kind of been one of the better defenses that they had in the past couple of years. I ain't really gonna sit here and do a whole lot of Steelers bigging up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna really do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm still Browns fan at heart. You know what I mean? But the Steelers looking legit. They look legit. The Ravens ain't like the Ravens that far off either. The Ravens ain't that
Mhm.
far off either. But but the question I gotta ask is this too. With that being said, I'm allow if we say that we believe in the Steelers, I don't know if that defense gonna be able to handle Mahomes. I don't know, man. Mahomes today just underhand pitched a touchdown, like 6, 7 yard touchdown. Underhand pitched it, man.
Yeah.
Like
He just did his
he
thing, man.
actually just underhand pitched a touchdown. Like I'm just like, man, I know he ain't doing it like that, bro. Like I know he
You
ain't getting
know,
that crazy with it.
and Gam, it's funny you mention that because
Oh,
what the Steelers are doing right now on defense, from what I've seen on tape, is very similar to what San Francisco was doing last year. That front four
yeah,
is just nasty. Like the
Yeah.
front four, when your D line is like that and you don't really have to blitz, you know what I'm saying? And you figure your corners and like your defensive backs are playing off of that pressure that the front four is giving the offensive side of the ball. It's very similar to that. So I feel like for Mahomes, if he was faced with that, he would know what to do because he's faced something like that. But a lot of these other quarterbacks, they like, oh crap. So are we gonna have to worry about just these dudes across the line? Are they gonna send some other guys at me or whatever? Are we gonna be just nickel and diming them with screen passes and whatnot because they can get back here in the backfield? There's so many things you can do, but yeah, like you said, Mahomes, man, I feel like he got something for that, but not a lot of other quarterbacks in the league right now can
It's
handle
they're
not
that.
not.
really it's not really
Um,
nobody else though. But the Steelers is legit. Like that's what I'm saying. The Steelers look legit. The Ravens could have won that game this today. They could have won that game. It was a good game though, up and down. So I'm not gonna say
Hmm.
that the Steelers is like hands down better than the Ravens. But we all know that the Chiefs are still the best team in the AFC as of this moment right now. They're still the best team.
As of right now, yep, I
So
agree with that.
so they're gonna have to so one of those two, like and in my eyes, one of those two are probably one of the teams that could knock them. The Bills look good. I don't think the Bills gonna beat no Chiefs. You know what I mean? I just don't think so. Like we was talking about Miami in the chat, and they look okay, but that's like a team. That's like a team on the bubble, like them, um, the Colts.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Their teams is on the bubble. The Browns as well. That's another team that's in that pack. That's kind of on the bubble. So I just don't see no on the bubble team beating any of these top four seeds in their wild card. Like no, no way,
No,
not right now.
you already know. Not right
that
now.
was,
I agree with that.
but hear me out on this. I With the extended playoff, I'm really thinking it's possible. I don't. Nobody in my immediate colleague circle outside of you seems to think that it's possible. But I keep telling people it's possible for an entire division to send some people like 3 out of 4 to the playoffs. So my thinking is, what do you do as a top 4 seed when you have, and this is to me, this is a very strong possibility when you have the Steelers, the Ravens, and possibly the Browns all in the playoffs, what do you do as the opposing team outside of Kansas City? You know you got to see one of them. And from what you said last week, Ronnie, um, top seed is the only seed that gets the bye week.
They
So
switched that up, yeah.
so from 2 to 7, what do you do if you have to see one of them?
See, that's the whole thing. The Browns, man, the Browns is like, and that's the thing about the Browns for real. Like, that's why this game this week was so pivotal in my eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got like the Jets, the Giants, like man, come on, man. Like the rest of these games is kind of like a cakewalk type of games. But the problem is when we leave games that we supposed to win on the table like that, it puts us in positions to where we may have to see the Chiefs in a wild card. We may have to see the Steelers in a wild card. The Steelers are like they're gonna be the number 1 seed. Right now they're still undefeated. They ain't lost yet. Yeah. Steelers are like they're gonna be number 1. So if that's the case, then we're gonna have to end up playing a Division 4 that we don't look good against. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
that sucks.
Like a team like let's put it like this. So a team like the Titans, right? Let's say a team like the Titans, a team like the Colts, the Bills. You see what I'm saying? Those teams can end up running against like a Ravens, even though at the end of the day, as far as the Ravens is concerned, is the jury just out? The jury is out in my eyes on Lamar Jackson. I need to see what he's gonna do in the playoffs. It ain't about it ain't about his skill set no more to me. Because I've seen him in the playoffs twice, and he did the same thing twice, and I'm shocked. I'm like, bro, this was an MVP. Like, bro, I just want to see you shine, bro. Like, come on, man. A black quarterback shining like we want to see him shine. Like the only other black quarterback that has so much consistency in the past 5 years, who? Russell Wilson. Like that's it, really. So it's cool to see. Another black quarterback doing him, and he ain't forcing him to pass. You know what I'm saying? He doing him, and I respect that. But the Ravens, I just feel like that's a team right there. They good, but it's like, you think they're gonna really beat the Chiefs, or you think they really gonna beat the Steelers? You feel me? I don't know. It look like it's between the Chiefs and the Steelers right now in the AFC, and the NFC is a little bit more. It's a little bit more intriguing though. Just a tad bit. Right. It's like a couple more teams that you could be like, all right, they really got it. They really may have a shot. But even with the NFC, it's kind of like, okay, the Niners good. You got the Packers. You know what I'm saying? You got the Bears winning games. Not really. You know what I'm saying? With the Bears, not really with the Bears. And then you got a whole division that's trash. The NFC East is trash. The whole division. It don't matter who win that division. It don't matter who. Like somebody gonna win that division at 7-9, man. 6-10, bro. Like what? Nobody cares about that, bro. Like the Rams looking okay though. The Rams looking decent. The Rams looking decent too, minus this game. Minus this game this week though. The Rams been looking alright too though, for real. Golf been looking alright.
The Dolphins though. That Tua came out through what? 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns.
Tua was looking decent though.
Yeah. I just didn't agree with. I don't know why I didn't agree with it, so I have no explanation for that. But I didn't agree with putting him in when Fitzpatrick had the hot hand. That's the only thing I didn't agree with.
It's like you're trying to rush him. It's like you're trying to rush him a little bit. Yeah, I feel what you're saying too. It's like you're trying to rush Tua out there.
And I know you want to see what he got, but I was always told you always ride the hot hand, and Fitz was lighting it up. So why would you make that change? Granted, you won, cool, but when you know you got the quarterback with the high hand, don't just throw that away.
Man, but it's a real pattern on Fitzpatrick, bro. It's a real pattern on Fitzpatrick. So by them really moving off of Fitzpatrick, as a fan, it's like I get it because it's like it's coming soon. The flame out coming for him, man. It's coming.
Mm-hmm. We saw
he'll get like 10 games, 11 games, and then it's like what happened? He Fitzmagic in game week 5, but week 15 is like what is he? Like he's on the bench. Like he give you 10 straight games. He give you 10 good games though. 10, 11. 10, 11 for real. Like it's a consistent basis thing.
Quick update. Dallas is up on Philly 3-0. Dallas had a turnover and they were driving. Nesbitt took a sack and fumbled,
Mm,
and Philly
mm.
got the ball back. So now Philly's driving.
Oh,
4:46 left in the first quarter. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. This
Man,
isn't at all. It's
I'm
not.
not even. I'm not cutting that game on for real. I'm not doing that. I'm not watching that. But I'll say this. But this is the
The only
disappointing
reason
thing about that. What's up with Carson Wentz though? Why is Carson Wentz so bad?
oh,
Why is Carson
I
Wentz
don't
been
know
looking
what
so
his
bad
deal is.
like this? Like, what's the real deal with that? Like, Carson Wentz is really disappointing me. I don't really understand what's going on with him. You feel me? I know
because
Jeffrey's out. I know Ashawn Jeffrey's out. You know what I mean? A lot of his targets is injured. Like, I get it, but come on, man.
he's not back for this offense, man. He's a passer. He's not an RPO guy. And granted, they ran a version of that offense at North Dakota State, but it's college football, man. It's not even.
Mm-hmm.
Let me rephrase. Let me rephrase this before people start getting mad. It's subdivision one college football, which means you're not going to play Ohio State. You're not going to play USC. You're going to play maybe I don't know, Rutgers. You're going to play
Mm.
Arizona State for your first two
Mm-hmm.
tune-up games. You're not in a real conference where you have to see teams that you really might deem as a threat. And you're in the NFL now, and your coach is running an RPO. Yeah, you got the P part right because you're a great passer. But as far as running the run pass option offense is not for you. It's not for you. It's not. And why? And I'm gonna say this because this is my personal opinion on it. A lot of that is not on Carson Wentz. A lot of that is on Peterson because he should have been smart enough to know at some point with all the injuries that Wentz is going through. All right, this run pass option shit is not for him. Maybe I got to change up the offense a little bit to where he could just stand back and throw the ball because, like Chase said, a lot of your options passing is out. They hurt. Your offensive line is damn near depleted. Some of them are starting to come back, but they still hurt. So
Yeah.
you got to change your offense up to let him do what he does best. And I don't know why they haven't done that yet. Because for you to be 2-4-1, and that is actually leading the division right now, is terrible.
2, 4, and 1, actually.
2, 4, and 1.
Yes. And the crazy part about this is, you know,
What?
you knew, I'm even going to say you knew going into the start of the season, you had a shot to win this division. How the hell you get 2-4-1 and you're tied with a team that's actually basically tied with you now as far as wins go
Crazy.
is mind-boggling. The Bengals are tied with the Eagles right now. It's 2-4-1.
Yeah, and the Bengals got
And
the Bengals got a number one, and the Bengals got the number one draft, and they got the number one pick of the draft playing right now. They just was number one pick of the draft last year.
And he's looking better than Carson Wentz right now. That's terrible.
Yeah, he is. He get better
I'm
every
telling
game
you,
too.
like, I don't get it, man. It's like Carson Wentz. They the gave the boy the ring. The boy Nick Foles that came through, blessed him with the ring, and ever since then, it's like everybody thinking like, okay, like Nick Foles ain't better than Carson Wentz, right? So now I'm sitting here 3 years later, like, is he? I'm confused. I'm confused, man. Like I like Carson Wentz. I like Carson Wentz, but come on, my guy. Like I like this can't be happening though. Like whoever get out the NFC East, whoever get out the NFC East is getting smacked in the playoffs. It don't matter who it is.
Yeah.
The Redskins can mess around, get out that. The Redskins can mess around to get out this division. No, not the Redskins. My bad. About the football team, the Washington football team. My bad. Man. You feel me? Like I'm just man.
Real quick, let's look at reality with this though. Nick Foles was a lot better than Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
he was.
I mean, in pressure situations, all right, I'll give it to you. I mean, at the end of the day, boy beat Tom Brady, man. Boy beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. You can't, it don't really get no more country than that. He beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
It don't. And guess what? I would rather have Nick Foles in a 2-minute drill versus Carson Wentz all day, every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, the whole thing about Nick Foles is just like what was said about Fitzpatrick. I just don't know about him being no starting quarterback. You see what I'm saying?
Oh
Like
yeah,
Nick
no, whole
Foles ain't
season.
really no starter. You feel me? But Carson Wentz should be. He has the mechanics to be a starting quarterback in this league. His accuracy ain't that bad, but it's like how wrong. It's like how, you know what I'm saying. It's like how you said Dougie P. I just don't get it. Dougie P won the ship, and then I don't know. He don't know what he's doing either. Or it's like he missing the sauce. They don't got the sauce like they used to have right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
Like
Because you
Dallas definitely
figure,
don't got the. And Dallas definitely
oh,
don't got the sauce. Dallas sauce went down with Dak Prescott. I'll tell you that. And they
oh
ain't
yeah.
had no sauce to begin with before Dak Prescott went down. It's like they in disarray. Mike McCarthy, I don't think he was the one to begin with.
No.
No, absolutely not. And then you look at how
Nobody,
Zeke playing this year.
Zeke
nobody
looking
agreed.
horrible. Like,
Man,
why does Zeke
turnovers.
look that bad? Like,
That dude
what?
be giving the ball up like every game, man. It's
But
sad to
nobody,
see.
but again, nobody agreed with that move. That was a Jerry Jones move.
Yeah, it was.
That was a
And
dude won a Super Bowl. Let me sign him because I know his name type of move. Like,
Yep,
that's how you know
yep.
people. That's how you know Cass is not connected. They disconnected. That's how you know that. You feel me? Like, we're gonna talk about a little bit of
Exactly.
some of this NBA stuff in a minute. But some of them NBA moves, you can tell that people is connected. You see what I'm saying? It's connected moves. Like a Ty
Mm-hmm.
Lue going to the Clippers, that's a connected, calculated move. Doc Rivers going to a team where Doc Rivers is known to have a whole team around, a whole team of shooters all the time. You go to a situation where they need shooting. You see what I'm saying? Like, it makes sense. But
Mm-hmm.
Mike McCarthy, who hasn't been looking good as a coach for since they won the Super Bowl,
Yeah,
that's a
it's
decade.
like,
we got
That's a
decade,
that's a decade.
yeah, it's like, bruh.
decade.
It's like, bruh. It's just like Dallas Cowboys right now. They got all them old ass 2012, 2013 Pro Bowlers on the team, and like,
That's
and
for real.
so then I gotta watch Fox Sports, and I gotta hear Skip Bayless talk about Pro Bowlers when dudes ain't been to the Pro Bowl since 2014, 2013, 15. Like, it's 2020. I know this year has been crazy, but it's still 2020, man. Dude, like, come on,
Yeah.
man. Dude ain't been in the Pro Bowl in 5 years. And you mean to tell me that, oh, he's a Pro Bowler on the defense like the Cowboys? No, they gonna suck, bro. They got old ass players on their team. They don't got.
Yeah,
You right.
exactly. Exactly. Like, let's not talk about a man's resume. Let's talk about what he's doing right now.
Because that's what matters, though. At the end of the day, especially
Exactly.
when you got a young quarterback, you got a young running back. Why don't you bring a young coach in? Look what happened with the Rams with McVay. Like,
Man,
Rams
they grew with.
decent.
Yep, they grew with him. They grew with him.
But here,
Yeah, like, they decent.
but here's the thing about McVay though. McVay is smart enough to see what he got in front of him and not what he wants. If y'all
Yeah,
pay attention, Jared Goff may not be the perfect quarterback, but when he got Jared Goff, he put Jared Goff in the position to be like, okay, look, this offense is complex, but we're gonna make it to where you can run this offense, even in a situation where I know you may not be able to perform the way you want. I just need you to manage the game, and he
Yep.
does that. Win or lose, he does that to a T. So that's what I feel is the best part about a coach like Sean McVay, a coach like Sean Payton. Even though Payton's up in age, he's still smart enough. I got all these quarterbacks around me. He
Mm-hmm.
got Jameis, he got Taysom Hill, and he got Drew. Drew's the passer. Taysom Hill is arguably the fastest player in the NFL right about now. Um, and then you got Jameis. Jameis is
Yeah.
essentially the gunslinger, or the gunslinger that's going to be. In, I would dare say he's going to inherit the team, but it's really between him and Taysom Hill. But my point is, coaches like McVay, coaches like Payton are smart enough to understand what kind of quarterback they have. Mike McCarthy's never done that. He didn't do it with Aaron Rodgers. He didn't do it,
Nope.
yeah.
he didn't do it when he had Brett Favre before Aaron Rodgers.
Nope.
It's not in his nature. He's too old school. And I think that's what hurt the Packers, and that's what's hurting the Cowboys now. Because you look at Dak, Dak is not looking to. Dak didn't before the injury. Dak did not look like he did the 13-3 year. He didn't look like he did. Dare I say, part of last year.
So who would be the coach then? So who would be the coach for the Dallas Cowboys then? Who would be the coach?
To me, honestly, if he wasn't off the market right now, I would have said Gruden. Here's why I'm saying Gruden. Gruden is a quarterback. That whole family was quarterbacks. Jay was a quarterback in the AFL. He won championships. He out in Washington or was with Washington. I don't know if he's still there. But John was a quarterback for a time. I would say Gruden because Gruden is smart enough and strong enough to stand up to Jerry Jones. That's why I don't think Jerry wanted to bring him in because Jerry still wants to control the general manager's position. What did Vegas? Excuse me. What did Las Vegas give Gruden? General manager and he's the head coach. So that means whatever decisions need to be made about that team are going through him, regardless of what position he has on that team. If it's a stardom or sit him in the head coaching position, it's going through him. If it's a player that needs to be cut, it's going through him.
Jerry Jones need to let that go. He need to realize that it ain't working.
He's not.
It's been a decade, man. It's been a decade, man. Like, you had Tony Romo. It's been a decade. Like,
bro.
It's been a decade, bro. It's 2020. Like, the Cowboys been looking bad for a decade, man. Like, Jerry Jones gotta let that go, bro. Like, if they want to have a successful franchise, you gotta let it go, bro.
Yeah.
It's been longer.
Just throw the money. Just throw the money. Do what you do best, bro. Throw the money up. Like, leave the football stuff alone, bro. It ain't working. Like the Cowboys, man, they still talk about the Cowboys as America's team. I can't. Win. Like, come on, win. Cowboys, real talk. Like, we graduated 03, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Man, the Cowboys ain't been America's team in a long time as far as winning for America. When they play, what they doing for America besides losing, cuz? Like, what they doing? They losing a lot of games, too. They losing big games. Like, whether it's Tony Romo, whether it's Dak Prescott, they losing big games. And I don't know who the quarterback is out there right now. I don't even want to pronounce dude's name. I don't even know how to pronounce dude's name.
I don't know him either, man.
Who is dude?
Devin Nesbitt. I don't know. I have no answer for that. I didn't even know who this dude was.
I ain't either. I had to look him up. I had to look the cat up, man. Because you figure when Dalton went down, I was like, oh, crap.
Yeah, this is looking bad.
Bruh, Dalton was in there for like 2.5 seconds, man. I'm like, dang.
It was already looking bad. Was that went down? I'm like, oh, it's looking terrible.
No, I take that back. It's not Nesbitt. It's Ben DiNucci.
When that went down.
From James. Ben DiNucci from James Madison University.
Terrible when that went down. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. Cause I already know, like, we see Danny Dalton for about like 5 years. I don't know, man. Zeke gonna have to get a part of there.
Yeah, Ben DiNucci from James Madison.
This is a good fight.
What
happened Monday?
This game right now.
So what AB play?
Wait, hold up. DiNucci right now is 3 of 4.
I don't think AB.
His longest pass is 13.
13. All right.
Man, at the end of the day, man, we called it that dude. But what was Baker Mayfield's longest pass today?
Oh, what
was his longest pass today?
It was
horrible.
Actually, you know what? Both of them was terrible, to be honest.
Man, the boy David Carr won, man. The boy David Carr threw for 115 yards.
115 yards.
Man, you cannot make this type of stuff up, man. You can't make this type of stuff up. Like 115 yards. I'm talking to my guy. I'm like, when he scored the touchdown, I'm like, man, dude only got like 97 yards passing right now, bro. Like, come on, man. Browns, y'all gotta do better. Y'all gotta do better, bro. Y'all gotta learn how to stop that run, but defense on the field too long. That's the Browns' problem.
Yeah, that's the issue.
That's really their only problem.
They got too tired.
Yeah, this year,
right.
that's their problem, though.
Speaking of Cleveland sports, Chase, you hit us with a very interesting scenario this week. Well, today. So we're gonna skip to the NBA, and
I got my ears to the streets, man.
I don't want to know what you know because you said Tristan Thompson could be headed to LA. Right. What's that about?
All right. Look, now I ain't gonna lie. It's a little problem. It's a little speculation though. But the boy, I guess they was together like last week. You know what I'm saying? Tristan came up, Brian House. They had like a little dinner, or whatever. They tweeting back and forth, and LeBron like we're gonna have more times to come. You know what I'm saying? Like there's gonna be more times where we're gonna kick it. There's more times to come, right? So I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, I'm like, and then I find out that Tristan Thompson is an unrestricted free agent, right? So Tristan Thompson is the unrestricted free agent. Repeat what I'm saying. He's an unrestricted free agent right now, right? The Cavs are in rebuild mode. They're in rebuild mode. Let's just call it what it is. They're in rebuild mode as well. So as a Tristan Thompson, he's going to be trying to leave the Cavs, right? He's going to be trying to leave the Cavs. Now, you got JaVale McGee over there that's a restricted free agent, as well as Rondo, because that's why they're talking all this Rondo, the Clippers stuff, which is like, I think that's just hot water. Like, Rondo ain't about to leave the Lakers and go to the Clippers. I don't see it. And even with Rondo with the Clippers, that don't make the Clippers better than the Warriors or the Lakers. But still, it's like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, and you take out JaVale McGee, insert Tristan Thompson. That's the rebounding, and he can play on the perimeter though. You see what I'm saying? Like Tristan Thompson is good. It's a good piece. It's a good piece to pick up on, a good upgrade piece. And so my sources people telling me is basically just like I was saying, like it was around the summer of last year, like going into the season. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if J.R. Smith ends up on the Lakers. I would not be surprised if that happened. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it had the COVID and all that stuff had to happen for J.R. to get to the Lakers. Because if any of that stuff would have happened, I'm pretty sure J.R. Smith would have probably not been on the Lakers. Like, I'm just being honest though. But
yeah,
it worked out in his favor. Now, Tristan Thompson in this particular moment, I feel like that's a move for the Lakers. Lakers need to get some shooting, and then they need to go ahead and be able to maneuver this small ball lineup because their small ball lineup is a different dynamic. Just think, if they end up getting Tristan Thompson, you got Tristan, Brian, AD, all on the floor at the same time. It's like, how is the opposing team getting a rebound? What is y'all doing in the paint? You can't do nothing in the paint with that.
You can't do nothing with that.
So that's what I'm saying. That's a move though, because I feel like they try to get better. Because the Clippers, they already got Ty Lue. They try to play some little ball. They try to do some little stuff. And the Warriors got the ultimate. They got the ultimate card in their hand with the second pick of the draft. They can shake the room at any given moment with a trade. They can shake the whole entire NBA landscape at any given moment. So that's the thing you got to watch out for the Warriors. They can mess around, shake the room, and try to get Giannis over there. Or they can shake the room and get any player that they want with that pick. Any up-and-coming team that's trying to build with a superstar. You see what I'm saying? They can shake the room, though. But that's kind of what I'm hearing. A lot of people been telling me like it's a done deal pretty much. As soon as they can sign on teams, Tristan Thompson out of here. Like as good as it's signed and sealed. That's what I'm hearing. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that'll be good for Tristan. As far as Cleveland fans, I don't think y'all should be upset with Tristan at this point. Because the way Cleveland fans used to talk about Tristan Thompson, it's just like, bro, like y'all shouldn't really miss him like that. So go ahead and win one with Brian, man, because he ain't suited here.
Very true.
They don't even know who the starting guard gonna be over here. Like we got like 6 guards. We don't know who gonna be the starting guard. We got like 6 guards. Like
true.
With the Cavs though, I mean it is what it is. But it is what it is with the Cavs right now though. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I don't think they're gonna be just terrible moving for a long period of time, like for the next few years. They may be terrible next year, but then we don't even know how this is gonna go. We don't know if they're gonna have another bubble. They mess around, might have another bubble the way that they talking. It might be another bubble situation where it's two bubbles, like an East bubble, West bubble type thing. You know what I'm saying? That may be the next move for the NBA because I'm pretty sure I really don't see a scenario where they just go to empty arenas and travel to empty arenas. I just don't see that being a scenario for the NBA.
I don't. And from what I was reading per ESPN, there is a possibility that the season might start around Christmas this year, which I'm not agreeing with, but I can see that happening. And it's a possibility LeBron might sit out that first month. Not only LeBron, but a number of players have said that they would sit out this first month.
I don't know about
Christmas.
If they start on Christmas, I'm gonna tell y'all this right now. They start on Christmas. We talk about LeBron James, man. He may sit out 2 weeks. That's the most.
Yeah.
He in a unique situation right now. LeBron James in a unique situation that I've never seen any other superstar that's ever been in a unique situation. It is like this. He gets more ridicule in the end of his career than he did at the beginning. This is the tail end of LeBron's career. He's going to what this year? 18.
18.
And people is like, what LeBron can't do this, that, he ain't get 18, man. Like, this is different. I've never seen it. At the tail end of Jordan's career, we wouldn't talk about what Jordan would get the Wizards to the finals or the playoffs. We wouldn't talk about that. We was watching them, just letting them just play. We was happy that Jordan was getting 30 points, 40 points in games. Nobody cared about if they was going to the playoffs or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even with like Scottie Pippen, Charles Barkley, even Shaq, we sat back and let Shaq jump from team to team to team and said nothing about it. Shaq had was 5 different teams in a 5-year span, bro, including the Cavs.
And getting paid.
We don't remember that. We don't remember that.
That cat had 1 year for like what 30 million, something crazy.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
Only play half the season. Like,
how the fuck did that?
Oh man, I ain't doing it. I can't even do it.
That boy Shaq, Shaq Diesel, man. That boy Shaq Diesel.
Yeah,
hold it down, man.
He was looking like Tractor Trailer out there.
I was about to say. that was
especially with Boston, though. He was with Boston. Oh my God. He was with Boston. I'm just like, bro, I'm like, man, this gotta stop, bro. Like, God.
That was the Shaq RV right there, man.
Yeah, cause
I'm like, man, it's bad, man. When you got Kevin and motherfucking Shaq together. Oh, it's bad, bro. This bad, bro. Like, this ain't good. But still, though, that's what I'm saying. That's the word on the street. So Tristan to LA is a high possibility, though. It's a high possibility. It's in the air. It's actually as good as going. It's good as going, man. It's good as going.
So what do you think about since we're still talking about the NBA? Oh my God. Hey yo, you was right about Carson Wentz, man.
What is happening now with this cat, man? What's going on? What did he do?
This dude Carson Wentz just got smacked, man. He just got ran through, fumbled the ball. Cowboys have it's bad, but I got distracted. But Chase, my question to you is, with I
really just don't feel like hearing Skip Bayless gloat about the Cowboys. If they win tonight, I don't want to see it.
We are not fans of
Cowboys must lose, bro, by all means.
Yeah. We can't do Skip either, man.
We are not.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I can't stand it. But my question is, recently we saw the signing of Doc Rivers up in Philly. What do you think about the move, and will it make an impact on the Eastern Conference? Because I'm on two sides of the fence with this one. I think it's good because he's an established coach, and I think he
But
can
see
keep
this.
that team. But I wanted to know from you, what did you think about that move?
All right, now. First things first. That move was one of those moves to where it's kind of like y'all got to make a splash. Sixers got to make a splash. Sixers been kind of underachieving the past few years
Mm-hmm.
as
Yes,
far
they
as the
have.
playoffs is
With that
concerned. Not
team.
really the. It's more so how they lost. Like you know what I'm saying. It's not really the losses. I concede to this. I feel like if B went 100% in that series, and when it comes to Simmons, that's the thing. You bring Doc Rivers over there, and Daryl Morey over there. The Houston Rockets is one of those teams that they might get broke up. It may happen. One of those two players, whether it's James, whether it's Russ, even though they just Russ, one of those two players may leave. So if I'm Daryl Morey, you get Daryl Morey. But I'm hearing they get Harden for James Harden. James Harden for like trade James Harden, Ben Simmons type situation. You don't really let go of Embiid if you just say all stuff. And I kind of he's a veteran coach, but he has teams that consistently has shooting on them. He may not have achieved to where he needed to achieve a lot of those teams, i.e. the Clippers, the Orlando Magic when he had Tracy McGrady, stuff like that. But with
Mm-hmm.
Boston, though, you feel me? He had some success, but they still had shooters on the team. You had players who could hit key shots like Posey, Ray Allen, things like that. The Sixers need to attract shooting to the team somehow, some way. If Joel Embiid gonna be your centerpiece, you need shooting. Ben Simmons ain't really no shooter, man. And now I just for you just to think that Ben Simmons is just gonna all of a sudden come off the offseason and just start draining jumpers, it's not his game. I don't think it's a strong suit. You feel me?
No, no. Mm-hmm.
Strong suit. So you're not gonna see that, but you need to be shooting around. Doc Rivers, I think Doc Rivers can get in Joel Embiid ass a little bit. Joel Embiid been a little bit too lazy for me these past few years. He don't really take it serious. He talked the game, but on the floor it don't look like he take it serious. So bringing in Doc Rivers is kind of letting him know, hey, listen, bro, ain't no time for games. This serious business right now. We trying to win it. We trying to at least get to an Eastern Conference Finals. Look at Miami, bro. Just look at Miami though. Look at where Miami was at 2 years ago, and where they at right now.
Man,
That's a dramatic turn.
man,
It's crazy. That's crazy.
it is.
Like at the end of the day, I still, if I was Sixers, like I tell you,
His connection might be bad.
um, I'm gonna ask y'all this. We was talking about Doc, so I'm gonna ask this. So the just see the real. I feel about that. That's that Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
That's that Wi-Fi tripping, probably.
All right. We didn't hear your question because you was going in and out.
Yeah, that's that Wi-Fi. That's that Wi-Fi trip. Y'all hear me now, though?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all hear me now, though? All right.
Yeah.
The Nets coaching staff.
Let's see.
You know what?
How y'all feel about the Nets coaching staff, though?
I actually wrote about this a couple months back when it happened, and I'm not against it. I know a lot of people was like, oh, this they only hired him because he was white and he has no experience. But I was like, when you hired uh Mark Jackson, did he have experience? No. Did Ty Lue have experience? No. I, for the Clippers, or for the Nets rather, I think this might be a good move because one, Nash ain't been too long retired, and Nash is a point guard, and the point guard of all point guards, in my opinion, as far as like passing and setting up the game is concerned. Um, I think this might be a good fit for Kyrie because uh, Nash Nash looks like a teacher and not a just go out there and do what I said type of coach. And I think he needs that. Now, whether it plays out that way is still going to be remained to be seen. But I personally feel like that's a good fit for the Nets because, uh, like I said, Nash is still young enough to relate to his players. He's smart. He knows the game. I mean, he deserves a shot if nothing else. That's all he needs. Now, if he does get that shot, is up to him.
I would
Well, they
say
got
for
the whole they
me,
got the whole Phoenix Suns. The whole
they
Phoenix
do.
Suns as the coaching staff. The whole Phoenix
They
Suns.
do.
The whole team.
Yep. Because it's him. You got D'Antoni assisting him, and you got Amari Stoudemire in there with him.
I forgot
You know
he
what I
was
mean?
even in the league still.
It's crazy. Like him having that
You said
backup,
who?
I feel
Amari
like
Stoudemire?
is.
Yeah, I forgot he was even.
They really. I think that the Nets trying to bring that Phoenix Sun feel back in the NBA. That 7 seconds or less offense. They're trying to bring that back.
I mean,
And
but
with
it
KD,
might.
with KD in a seven or with a seven with KD in a 7 seconds or less offense, Kevin Durant though, that's
You
scary,
got Amari
man.
Hey,
Stoudemire
Because Kevin
yeah,
Durant
seconds
can
of
do way because Kevin Durant can do way more than Amari Stoudemire can ever do, and he can still do the
yeah.
stuff that Amari can't do too.
true,
Like
true.
he hit that three, like he hit that three at a high clip. If Amari Stoudemire was hitting the three at a high clip back then, maybe the Suns would have beat the Spurs one of them years. Like for real, like
Oh
serious
yeah,
business.
easily.
I
I
don't
mean,
doubt
could you
that. I
imagine
don't
like
doubt
Steve
that.
Nash kicking it out to him? Yeah,
Man, that'd have
that'd
been
been
ugly.
nasty,
That'd have been
When we talk about
ugly.
super
Steve
ugly.
Nash, so Kyrie averaging to the sister game?
Probably.
I don't know. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh,
This is my issue.
Oh, either.
This
I
is
don't
my
know about
issue with
that
that.
either, bruh.
Because
I don't know.
here's why. Here's why though. Because this is something that me and Mel talked about before, and I just feel like Kyrie just got like too much of a yeah, coach. All right, coach. I already know what to do, coach. All right, then. Like I just don't see him taking guidance from anybody for anything for any reason. That
Dude
cat just
really,
be on his own
dude really
island, man.
came on. Dude said that they don't need a coach, really. They coach each other on the floor. We don't really need no coach.
See, that's what I'm saying, man. That's
Man,
what I mean.
the
Man, I just
Kyrie,
told you about this,
ever
man.
since
I just told you about this.
Ever since Kyrie left Brian, I don't know what he been on mentally. I don't know what he been on.
Him
He been
being,
talking about the
him
earth
being,
flat, talking all this craziness. What's going on
bruh,
with Kyrie, bruh?
him being with Brian was the best thing that happened to him. That's what kept him grounded.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
kept him
apparently
grounded. As
not
soon as
because
he got cut loose again, I'm like, nope, nope.
I ain't playing.
Kept seeing LeBron. They deserve each other.
I ain't gonna lie. I feel some type of way too if they was gonna trade me for Paul George. I feel some type of way too, bro. If they was gonna
Yeah,
try to trade me for Paul George,
hmm
I would feel away. I'm sorry, I
yeah,
would feel away.
yeah. I feel that.
If I'm Kyrie, I just helped y'all. I just helped y'all win championship. You gonna trade me for a dude who ain't for Paul George? Man, I am feeling away. I gotta make this little move real quick. I feel away, bro. I'm telling you,
No, you good.
I would feel away.
Hey man,
I would feel away
Oh
about that.
man.
I would be
hey,
So
if you
Chase,
gonna
let me
talk
ask
about that,
let me ask you this though, man, because
Are we
it's
still
another
here?
staff I was looking at too, man. So with Teron Lue going to the Clippers, right? Do you feel like having someone like Chauncey Billups is gonna matter being on his coaching staff with him?
uh, yeah, we might have lost
They
connection again.
need some type of leadership over there with the Clippers. It, it's like
Yeah, we might have lost connection. While we get ready for Chase to come back, I I feel like this. I could see with the net situation. I can see Steve Nash keeping that team together. You know,
Hmm.
because Nash was a silent leader. He didn't have to say much. And
It's true.
even with him being with the Lakers, he knew that it was Kobe's team, but he also knew when to help get the team back in line. Granted, they didn't win the championship like they wanted to,
Hmm.
but that team was still intact enough to get to where they were going. Uh, Anything's possible. Well, I my main thing is you got to get Kyrie under control. You got to. KD ain't gonna be the problem.
No.
Kyrie be that problem. If anybody causes a problem in the locker room or on the court against another team or just period, it's gonna be Kyrie because Kyrie. Well, who knows what the fuck this nigga on, man? But excuse my language, but you just got to be in a situation where at some point you got to shut up and do and just play. And I don't mean that from the the racist journalist standpoint. It means like your mind got to be somewhere where you know what to do and you know how to get it done.
Right.
And you did all that talking about how LeBron used to tell him and D Wade used to do this, this, and this. Maybe he was telling you that for a reason. Maybe he wanted that relationship with you.
Hmm.
You know, you don't just X out a dude that went to 10 straight finals or 10 finals, period. You don't do that. And for one, that's too much experience. For one person to go through a shitload of championships, that's Tom Brady. That's Tom Brady
Exactly.
all over again. And I just think Kyrie took that the wrong way because you have to be, in order to win championships, it's already hard to win a championship in professional sports, period. All levels of sport, it's hard to win a championship. If you're playing with somebody like a Jordan, like a LeBron, like a Kobe, you have to take that advice and run with it because whatever they're telling you, it obviously works. It works for them. Maybe he's trying to help it work for you. You left Brooklyn. I mean, you left Cleveland. You go to Brooklyn. What have you done since you left Cleveland?
Not much, because you figured when they picked him up in Boston, even it was just weird because as soon as he went down, as soon as he was no longer playing, the type of surge that team had, the synergy, like everything was there, man. And I kept saying when I saw that, I'm like, oh, he's not going to be in Boston after this season. I already knew what
And
it was because,
his ass right out,
right, it had him shipped right up out of there, man. Because you could see the team's dynamic was just so much different, so much smoother. They were winning games, guys who, weren't really scoring as much. All of a sudden now they averaging 20 plus a game, all because Kyrie wasn't on the floor hogging the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just different, man.
You
And it's
can't.
funny, you
You
can't,
can't.
you can't, and you're not that dude either. Like I get it, you're a talented player. I'm not gonna knock his game, but you're not the I'm the guy that's going to take over the game and win this game for us type of person. Like no, you can be a clutch guy. I will pass you the ball when you're open because you probably will hit that shot or whatever. But you're not the
Mhm.
same as LeBron where you can just take over a whole game and just score like
Or everybody,
at
you're going
will
to take over.
on everybody. Right? Like he's not a big. The thing is, I think in his mind he's bigger than what he is, like size wise or something. Because my thing is like the
Oh,
way he play. Yeah,
that's
because
his
he got handles and all that. But it's just like you're not gonna be that dude who's gonna take over, just dominating and like going paint dunking on cats like 7 feet and just doing what you want to do. That's Bron's game. Bron can do that if he wants to. He does. He chooses not to. He understands longevity. That's why when he's
right.
in year 18, we're still looking at him the same way we looked at him 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like he still can get down the court at a crazy speed. Like it's just ridiculous. 18 years in because
You know
he
what?
understood that 15 years ago. You know
I'm
what I'm
glad you.
saying?
I'm glad you brought longevity up because um, we're gonna get away from NBA hoops, but this is just a general question before we get into our last topic. We keep seeing the argument of who's the GOAT. My question to you about that conversation is what classifies you to be the GOAT in any sport? What classifies you to be the GOAT?
Mm. See, for me, it's hard because majority of people out there will look at, let's say, championships, right? And they'll say, okay, well, so and so, was so dominant, he won all these titles, whatever. Which I laugh at because when you look at an NBA discussion about the GOAT and you talk about championships won and stuff like that, how come ain't nobody talking about Bill Russell?
Man, what?
How many that dude got more titles than fingers? You see what I'm
Right.
saying? A combination of him as a player and a coach. You know what I mean? You look at guys like him. You look at okay, who's another one? I
Kareem.
wouldn't necessarily. Yeah, Kareem. Oh my gosh, Kareem Malone as a player, you're still in the top 10 in scoring, right? You have all these championships. You know what I'm saying? And this is a guy that still isn't in the conversation. It doesn't make any sense at all, even from a defensive standpoint. You know what I'm saying? That cat was smacking balls out the arena. Like no one wants to
Right.
talk about him though. You, quite frankly, nobody wants to give a center love. That's really what it is when you look at it. You look at Bill Russell, you look at Kareem. Nobody talking about them, but they got titles though.
Because you can't even do that. You can't exclude them because that's a part of the game. And back then, in their era, that was a important part of the game.
Oh yeah, chuck it to the big man in the paint, man, elbows and all. He getting it up there before they even had a 3 point
Will
line. Like
Will Chamberlain scores 100 points in a game as a center. So how the hell do you not? How the hell do you not include the centers and give them love? That's a record
speaking
that ain't gonna never be broken.
speaking of which, that is the one thing I have a beef with when it comes to Phil Jackson. I felt like he should have let Kobe play that whole game because they sat Kobe almost the entire fourth quarter when he scored that 81. Man, he could have did it. Man, he could have did it, man.
You know what? I
And we ain't never gonna see that. We ain't gonna see that. We ain't gonna the
not
way
for
the
a long.
NBA played now. Man, I'll probably be
No,
I'll probably be retired. My kid, I'll probably have grandkids or something. Like it's gonna be a minute. You know what I'm saying? We could have saw it though.
but
We
you
could
know
have
what?
saw it. We could have saw it.
We could have. We
We
could
could
have.
have
And
saw it, man.
I'm with
And he would have done it too.
I'm I'm with you on that because that 81. So you basically are second behind the greatest of all time as far as points scored because 100 points in the game, you're never gonna beat
No.
that. And the closest we came to seeing that was Kobe.
In
Wasn't
modern day
and
basketball.
right modern day basketball, not the 3 point era. Um, I wish we could have saw that. I do, but
Mm.
my thing was the reason I asked this question is because I'm always watching Skip and Shannon go back and forth about who's the GOAT,
Yeah.
who's this, who's that. My thing is, if you're gonna classify or talk about the greatest of all time, I need to know one question, and I need an answer to this question. Not just you, but period. All sports debate shows, all sports analysts, sports writers. If you're gonna classify somebody as the greatest of all time, what was their impact on the game? What did they do that just made the game so much better after they left or before while they
Hmm.
were there? Like we get the who's the best safety of all time in football. Ed Reed, Troy, Sean Taylor for his time that he was here. This is the thing with those guys. This is just an example, but all three of those guys did something that changed the game. You look back at Ed Reed. Ed Reed was so fast. Bill Belichick called Tom Brady in to have a private film session. And they talked about, look, this is what we have to do against Ed Reed because he can actually cover both sides of the field. That's
Hmm.
game changing. When you make arguably the greatest coach in all of professional football sit his quarterback down and say, look, this is what we got to do, and this is what I don't want you to do against them, you know you changed the game. Troy Polamalu, arguably the best strong safety ever to play the game, not
Yep.
named Ronnie Lott,
Yep.
basically could cover from the line of scrimmage back to his spot as a safety. Having quarterbacks think he's about to blitz and they got a free pass and then he drops off in coverage. Sean Taylor, greatest hitter, hard hitting safety ever. You're not coming across the middle and thinking you're catching a free pass. You're getting
Nope.
laid out. You don't die. You going back to the huddle telling your quarterback, don't throw that ball no more.
Hmm.
That was the impact that they had on the game. LeBron's impact. He came in at 18, arguably the last great class of straight from high school to the pros. LeBron created a whole new statistic called the chase down block. He
Yep.
was running motherfuckers down from the back of the court and blocking easy layups. That's a game
Yep.
change. That's a game changing ability.
Him and
Not to mention,
Tayshaun Prince.
right? Not to mention he's been to 10 championships in his career. Fuck the record. Fuck the statistics. He's been to 10 and still playing at a high level in his mid 30s.
Still
That's
18
a game.
seasons.
That's a game changing impact. That's an impact on the game. I don't like him. Don't really care for him. But Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the first quarterback that we've seen in the modern era, not named Peyton Manning, to sit here, go to what, 8 championships, 7, 8 championships, win 5 of them, 6 of them. You call him a system player. He's in Tampa Bay running a whole different system and got that team looking like a playoff contender. When nobody counted that team to be in the playoff or even in the discussion.
Nope.
What else do you want from these people? My question is, stop having the who's the greatest of all time and not include the impact that they had. Hell, I'll do you one better. Your impact, this is the best example of impact on the game I got. Name the only college football player to ever win the Heisman from a defensive position.
That's what's the name? Charles Woodson, right?
Mm-hmm. Tell me that's not game changing. Tell me that's not an impact on the game.
That's a huge impact because here's the thing: the only other player in our era that I've ever heard that even came close to that was Chase Young from the defensive side of the ball.
So tell me why you need to have a greatest of all time conversation and not include that subject. I can't
See, that's
understand
the
why you
thing.
don't. You don't want to include that subject because you know there's too many arguments against it. I could take greatest college football player right now in my mind, Charles Woodson. Why? Because he did something nobody else could do, and that was win the Heisman from a defensive position. And for those watching, let me give you a little history on Charles Woodson. Charles Woodson was a tailback. He was a tailback at what the hell was that school? Okay, I'll start over. Charles Woodson was a tailback. He was recruited by Ohio State. He wanted to play tailback, but at the time, they had a man by the name of Eddie George. He wasn't getting it. And behind Eddie George,
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't getting that position.
Nope.
Michigan comes along. Mind you, Charles Woodson won Mr. Ohio in football. So mind you,
Out of
he won.
Fremont.
Red, that's what it was. Fremont Ross. He won Mr. Ohio football. Michigan comes calling. Michigan says, I want you to play corner because he actually played cornerback in high school too. I want you to play corner. Lloyd Carr says, I'll even give you some time on offense. We lose as a school in Ohio State. We lose arguably the greatest college football player because John Cooper was too stupid to let him play tailback or at least give him time on offense.
These John Cooper stories, man.
And look, fast forward 3 years later, 1997,
Uh-oh.
Charles Wood wins the national championship, also wins the Heisman Trophy as the primarily only defensive player. And, here's another thing for you. Guess who he beat out to win the Heisman? A man named Peyton Manning, who's arguably going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and another Hall of Famer, Randy Moss. You beat out two Hall of Famers from a defensive position. You mean to tell me that's not the greatest impact on the game to change everything? Man, get out of here.
Absolutely.
Skip Bayless needs to sit down if you're not going to include that argument. Because that if that doesn't change the game, what does?
And that's the thing, man. People never look at the impact that some of these players have when they are talking about the GOAT. And I totally agree with you with that. Because on every level of, sports that we talk about or the things that we pay attention to, don't pay attention to, whatever, there's always that one person that had that impact or something that they gave to the game or changed the way that, they play the game. That's another thing too. So
Mel Blunt. The Mel Blunt rule. There's this rule for you folks at home called pass interference in football. Why is there such a thing as pass interference? Oh, I wonder why. There was a man named Mel Blunt beating the shit out of receivers before they could get off the ball. Beating the shit out of receivers, not just jamming them, putting their hand. He was beating the shit out of receivers. Body slams, clothesline. Don Shula had to explain the rule the next year. He was on the rules committee. He got tired of his receivers getting beat up. So that's an impact because you can thank Mel Blunt for that one.
Not to mention that's part of the reason why he got he was an NFL interception leader one year.
Oh man, of course.
4-time champion.
Of course. What else? At that point, what else did you need? It was beating the shit. He was at the line talking to Mike Renfro. All right, man, you know what's about to happen.
Right.
Where you at? Just matter of fact, just take this play off because it's about to get ready. And he's beating the shit out of people. I've seen videos of old Steeler games where he's literally body slamming receivers. And then if they catch the ball, if he ain't running through them, he's putting them on the IR.
Oh yeah, clothesline people.
Yeah. So it's like, if you can't understand the impact somebody has on the game, you can't use that argument of this championship. Dan Marino is in the Hall of Fame right now. Before Peyton Manning even came along, he was the greatest passer we ever saw.
Hmm. Yep.
Never won a championship. He's in the Hall of Fame right now. That's his impact on the game because he was such a prolific passer. You had to literally hurt him to get him out the game.
Hmm. Absolutely. And that's
I
what I
just
mean,
wish,
man. Like people.
I just wish, I just wish they would take that any more into consideration because championships don't always mean anything because there are players in the Hall of Fame at every sport, basketball, football, baseball, hockey, that haven't won a championship, but they impacted the game so much. How could you forget about
Exactly. And then you can't even look at people and say, "Oh, okay, well, so and so got a championship or whatever." It's like there are players that have championships that didn't barely contribute to nothing.
it? Right.
I got a great example of that one for you. Remember a guy by the name of Adam Morrison, who was supposed to be this like stellar player that came out of Gonzaga and ended up riding the bench.
Never doing nothing.
He got a
And
title
Gonzaga,
with LA.
and Gonzaga is like known for turning out basketball players, if not being in the NCAA tournament every year.
He was some
Mystic Miles.
quirky little undersized guard. You know what I mean? Coming out
But he
here
was
balling
shooting
against people.
basketball. He was
Right. And
shooting
then Jordan drafted him with the Charlotte Bobcats.
and did nothing.
Did nothing. Ends up going to LA, riding a bench, and got a championship.
Got a ring. But but are you gonna remember his impact? No, because he didn't have it. But
Nope. He won't even be in
he'll
his.
be remembered because he was on a championship team,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that's not fair. That's
And
not
that's
fair.
not. But then you got somebody like Karl Malone who never won one.
And he's arguably the best power forward besides Dennis Rodman. And and
Yeah.
and that rivalry was so awesome
It was great. It was amazing. Seeing guys like
because
him, Gary Payton.
right,
There's so many guys. See, this is the best discussion because there's so many people in the NBA that you can look at and be like, this cat never ever got a chance to get a ring. He was on a team that maybe could have went, maybe wouldn't have went, or they
mm-hmm.
did go and they got swept, or they
or
lost
they
by a game,
or they
something real
went
heartbreaking. Right. But he a Hall of Famer all day, every day, with not one championship. There's so many examples in the NBA like that. So many that I can't even count how many.
my favorite example of that is Allen Iverson.
Thank you.
You see
Thank
his
you.
impact. He crossed over the greatest. Excuse me. I'm not taking anything away from Jordan. I'm not even gonna have that discussion. But he crossed over the greatest player in most people's eyes, and Jordan basically cussed him out after the game. And you knew his
Exactly.
ending was gonna be definite after that. You knew it.
And you know what else? That wasn't the first time he got crossed over like that. Don't forget about Ron Harper before that knee.
Oh man,
Yeah.
done deal.
Let's go back that far. Yeah. Yeah. See,
Done deal.
now Ron Harper in the Hall of Fame, but a lot of that came from his injury though. He would have been that
But
dude. He would have been that
he was
dude.
a great role player. Great role
He
player.
was. Now I feel like he should have probably. Now I don't know the extent of his injury and what that did to him long
Oh,
term.
that knee was bad. That knee was bad.
But looking at, yeah, I just kind of wonder like with his conditioning and stuff. I don't know if he could have done the same thing like let's say Grant Hill did, because
Yeah,
Grant Hill, he had a really bad one too.
Grant was injury
Yeah.
prone after that. So, but Grant still had a great impact.
And he took his time coming back too, because he was out for a
He was
good two
supposed
and a
to
half seasons actually. Yeah, it was like a long time, and
because
teams still gave him a chance.
it was on the line of Harper's injury though. You can't
Yeah,
mess with that knee, man. You can't.
that's true too. And this is another thing. Speaking of which, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I was thinking about we were talking about how Chubb coming back after his bye week and everything, and the MCL that he had. If I'm not mistaken, I think that MCL is actually inside the same knee that he tore his ACL in Georgia.
But thankfully, it was only a strain. So with a
Well, no,
strain, you
yeah, I
have to
forgot.
put an
Not a
MRI
tear.
because
Yeah,
they
it's
want
strain.
Yeah, but they
Right,
still
right.
you still go through MRI to make sure that there is no tear. So they did right. They got the MRI. It was just a strain,
Hmm.
and thankfully, look, just we need you. Just max out these last couple weeks. We got it. And thankfully, they were good enough to get it, which is the best thing
Hmm.
that they. So when he does come back, the rehab I'm pretty sure was extensive.
Oh
The
yeah,
strengthening of the knee was extensive. It was a freak play. It really was.
yeah.
And thankfully, it wasn't as bad as it looked on TV. So I think they'll ease him in because it's the Texans. The Texans aren't really a threat to anybody unless they just magically have this 12-game surge or 8-game surge left.
Hmm.
So, you know, Kareem Hunt, never taking away anything he's done, is still good enough to keep that team going. They do have some good backups behind them. They're young, but they're still good enough to average over 100 yards a game combined. If Hunt don't do it already,
True.
so I think they're just going to ease him in, and then we'll gauge where he's at, and then we'll see what we need to do coming the rest of the season. All
Yeah.
right, favorite subject time. I saved this one for last because clearly it was a lot of shit that happened Saturday night, and we need to talk about.
Oh
First
man.
game first. First things first. Ohio State dog walks Penn State. That score does not tell you what looked like what we saw on TV.
True.
So for those that didn't watch the game, Ohio State led that game all game. They did not ever, lose the lead. They kept the lead all game. What was your take from that game?
Now from the OSU game, because they played Penn. Let's see. Yeah, so they played Penn State, and like you said, the actual score did not tell the story of what happened at all. Because you look at it, you go, okay, yeah, it's only 38 and 25, whatever. But here's what I would say about that. Usually the game between these two is a tight one. It's been a long time
Mm-hmm.
from what I can remember where OSU was just like blowing them out, beating the brakes off of them, whatever. Because looking at this game, first of all, people understand is I get it. Even though it's a 38-25 game, you got to look at it from this perspective. Justin Fields only missed 6 passes. Brother was 28 for 34, went for 318, and averaged almost 10 yards a throw off of 4 touchdowns. So,
Wait, before you go any further, let's also take this into consideration. With Trevor Lawrence being down because of COVID, he just
mhm,
caught up in the Heisman race, stat wise.
just from that game.
Just from the first two games. Trevor Lawrence is what, 4 or 5 games ahead of him,
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
and he just caught up to him yards wise, and he still ain't throwing an
Yeah.
interception.
Nope. And that was the thing, because, like, let's see, was it last year? Did he only throw like one pick last year or something like
Yep.
that? Something super low? Yeah, something crazy. He was like, what?
One interception.
Yeah. I mean, that was just nuts. Like, this dude, that's what I like about him, though. So it goes back to what I was saying previous week, just about how with Justin Fields, all he has to do is take care of the ball. Don't fumble it. Just that's all it really is. Because with him, the efficiency's there. He's a dual threat quarterback that knows how to use the pocket. Let's talk about that for a
Right.
sec too. Because
That pass he
there's a
made
lot of
off
dual.
the stump.
That's what I'm saying,
That's,
man.
that's
Because he's a guy that's always gonna try to find that pocket. He always gonna try to find it. He's like, look, I know I got wheels. I'm gonna let that be my last resort. Even though I don't have to, I'm going to. And this was what makes him so marketable, or something that people will look at when it comes to the scouting in the NFL, and they're going, okay, here's a guy we definitely want to take a chance with because he can stand in there and make those throws, right?
yeah, he
It's the
can.
one part of the game that people wish that Dwayne Haskins had, because Dwayne Haskins is not a runner. He's a good pocket presence type. He can make some throws downfield. But when he needs to extend the play and use his legs to do some stuff,
You got it.
it's just not there. That's just not it. But with gentlemen like Justin Fields, all he got to do is hold to that ball, man. Because that was the only thing that was threatening what he was trying to do. It's actually the one thing that almost cost him the game last year against Penn State was because I think he fumbled it twice in that game, if I'm not
Yeah, he
mistaken.
did.
And
But
it was one of those games.
he got one of them back.
Yeah, he got those back, and then you had somebody like J.K. Dobbins back there, carrying some weight off of you as well too. Because you figure with this season, okay, you
What?
got what Teague or
Not to cut,
whatever.
not to cut you off, but mind you, he only lost one game last year,
Yeah,
and that game was against Clemson, over some bullshit. So not only is he a game manager, he's a winner.
that's it. Yeah, that's true too. Trust me, I know a thing or two about bad play calls, man. Oh man, that national title game. You know,
You're not here.
I know that feeling. Definitely do. It's a momentum killer. Yeah,
Speaking of
you know.
speaking of Clemson, Clemson almost dropped one yesterday. Boston
Mm,
College was 28 to 20, what 28 to 7, 28 to 3, something like that. All
they
game.
was just
Clemson
busting them
surges
up.
and Clemson surges a comeback. Now, you told me, and we have confirmed it. Trevor Lawrence will be out for next week's game against.
Against Notre Dame.
Now you got me thinking for real. Because beforehand, I wasn't thinking about this because it was too risky. But now
Mm-hmm.
I'm really thinking about it. With Notre Dame blowing the doors off Georgia Tech at Georgia Tech, they've pretty much been handling their ACC schedule.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking very possible that they could steal this game and fuck up the whole college playoff.
Everything. Screw everything up. Here's another one for you. Here's what I see happening. Because I'll be honest, not having Trevor Lawrence in the game obviously has an impact on their offense. And this was them having that issue against Boston College. Now, granted, you got a freshman QB in there trying to take over and do what he does. But see, that actually works to his advantage too because no one has any film on this cat, right? So you think, okay, you don't know how to prepare for him either. So he out there, he like, okay, I haven't had much snaps. I'm trying to get used to being in a college game, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I can see that. But it's Boston College. So that's a good, team to like go up against to kind of get a feel for what you're supposed to do and everything else. Now you have to go and do that against Notre Dame. Notre Dame, no, they're not the best team in college football, but they're not Boston College either. So
Exactly,
you
exactly.
need someone like Lawrence out there against Notre Dame because they're
And
going
you
to
don't.
open it up, and you don't have him. You couldn't even play him if you wanted to play him. You're not allowed to even play in this game. He'll come back the following week, right? So here's the thing: you're not even allowed to touch that dude. Can't even play, right? Now you're gonna be suited up. Nothing. He may be out there looking, but he can't even do anything. So you got the guy who you know can win the game for you that won't even be able to suit up to go out there. That's got to eat at you a little bit mentally. I'm like, okay. But here's the thing. Let's say they knock them off, right? They steal this game. We already know what's gonna happen. BYU gonna be in the top 10. BYU,
But you know what?
BYU,
You know
BYU.
what?
Bro,
Hold on.
I'm a bandwagon fan for them this season, man. I want to see them do something, man. They averaging
You know,
46 points a game, man. They quarterback top five, bro. Top
let's
five.
look at
Watch,
let's look at
nasty.
reality. Let's look at reality here about this. BYU's already in the top 10. They're 7-0. They're 5-0 at home, 2-0 on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's another team I want you to. There's a couple other teams that I want you to think about since you brought up BYU that are also undefeated right
Okay.
now. Marshall,
Mm. Haven't talked about them in a while.
Yeah, Marshall and Cincinnati. Cincinnati's number 6.
Since he looked for real, man. Since he looking for real, man. Luke Fickle doing something, man.
I honestly thought SMU was gonna be that team, but
Me too.
watching that game against Cincinnati made me change my thought about that.
40 something
Cincinnati,
points too.
Cincinnati looks very dangerous right now, and
Mm,
I'm
yeah,
nervous. I'm nervous for a lot of teams. Now, can they pull it off the rest of the season remains to be seen.
yeah.
But as of right now, they are leading the conference. Actually, no, they're tied for first with Tulsa, who's also undefeated in the conference play.
Hmm.
Um, it's looking real for them. I'm hoping they pull it off. They haven't been to a major bowl game since that year they went to I believe it was the Fiesta Bowl, and I'm I'm curious because now with Oklahoma State going down against Texas,
Mm.
is it possible that they sneak in for the playoffs between them and BYU?
Yeah,
Now,
I can
mind
see
you,
that.
now mind you, because you brought them up, BYU is an independent. They've been independent for the last couple of years,
True.
and their remaining schedule, no, not Temple. I don't want Temple. Click on BYU, man. Um, their remaining schedule goes as such. The game against Army was postponed, so we won't see that game until they find a way to reschedule it. They just dog walk Western Kentucky. They have
Hmm.
Boise State on the road next week. Well, this week. My bad. This week. They got Boise State on the road at Boise State. Boise State's also undefeated. They got North Alabama, and they finish out the rest of the year. They finish out the year with San Diego State. But that game, I think that game with Army still got to be either made up or they're just gonna call it a no contest. Who knows? But outside of the Texas San Antonio game,
Hmm.
they averaged 45 points a game. The Texas San Antonio game was the lowest points they've ever scored. They scored this season. They scored 27.
Yep.
Everything else has been 55, 48, 45, 43, 52, 41. And the highest point total they've allowed all season is 26. That was against Houston.
Man.
I I gotta, and it's the crazy part because you don't really get to talk about them no more. But BYU probably will be in the playoff talk.
Yeah. This is that year, man. I'm just they
Yeah, we've been talking about it all year. It's the year for weird shit to happen.
you gotta give them an opportunity, man. They could possibly end there, man. It could be so awkward looking because you figure if Clemson falls to Notre Dame,
Oh man,
right?
that's gonna
This is
everything.
gonna mess everything up. Because here's my thing: with the way these seasons are, and how you figure a team like BYU is pretty much toward the end of their schedule. So you have them. Then you look at like, okay, the SEC or whatever. Bama still hasn't lost, and then everybody else in the SEC has had a loss. So you go, okay, let's say you pick Bama, you got Ohio State. Um, 'Cause I don't see them losing in the Big Ten at all.
I
And then
do.
you
I,
got
I, I am nervous. I am nervous for Ohio State this week, though. I am.
really
This this could
who
be
they
the
play this
first.
week?
Hold up, hold up. I'm going to get to that. This could be the first potential trap game because they have Rutgers this weekend. But this Rutgers game is a night game. They're playing at 7:30 this week, and we all know Ohio State does not play. It's a rarity that Ohio State plays night games.
They don't play well at night.
They don't. Not at home. On the road,
Mm.
fine, but at home, it's a toss up. I'm nervous for that because the last time we seen them play at home, it wasn't good. Every time we see them play at home at night, it's always something you got to worry about.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
keep in mind, Rutgers beat Michigan State. Michigan State just downed Michigan. It's weird shit going on, man. I'm not liking it. I'm gonna give them the best. Excuse me. I'm gonna give Ohio State the benefit of the doubt, but just keep that in mind going into this game. It's a night game. They have to be prepared. I hope Ryan Day lights the fire under them and they do exactly what they just did against Penn State, and everything will be
Yeah.
all right.
Speaking of
Speaking of
which,
which, guess who's 2-0? It's a couple teams in the Big Ten right now that are 2-0, and it's not the teams that you think they're.
Indiana.
Yes, it's two more.
Yeah, that's the sleeper team.
There's
Uh, Hold up, Indiana, because they just beat what, Minnesota, or was that Maryland?
no, it was. I think it was Maryland.
So
It doesn't
Maryland
matter.
2-0.
No, Maryland's not 2-0. Maryland's 1-1.
Oh, they 1-1. Okay, okay. Hold up, Sparty. Okay, Sparty beat Michigan State. I mean, beat Michigan. So is Michigan State 2-0 then?
Nope.
They
Michigan
lost
lost to
last week too.
Michigan State lost to Rutgers. That's why I'm saying this is a trap game.
Oh my
It's not
goodness,
weird shit
man!
going on, man. That's why.
I do not like this season.
Wait, here it is. I'm gonna give it to you.
So
You talked about Indiana, and I told you
yeah,
Indiana was a sleeper team.
they're gonna win this weekend too. By the way, they're gonna win again. Watch.
Northwestern and Purdue are undefeated in the West.
Purdue. Purdue.
Hmm.
The Boilermakers.
Yes, and Northwestern,
Two.
the Wildcats, are undefeated in the West. So Ohio
See,
State and Indiana are undefeated in the East. Northwestern and Purdue in the West.
see. Here's my take on that. You know, I'm about to say something stupid. So
Go, go ahead.
Northwestern to me has that same syndrome that LSU has, man.
We gonna
These
we gonna
cats would be
touch LSU in a minute.
they be gone. Like you don't even think about Northwestern, man. You don't even think about them. And all of a sudden they become like this team to mess with in the Big Ten out of nowhere. It always happens like every 5 to 8 years or something crazy. They just be like all of a sudden hanging with everybody. You're like, wow. You don't even know who they recruited. You have no idea. And then they come on the field and they have a
Listen,
game against like, because remember when they played, okay, so when they played OSU, right? This was back when they had,
Sutton, Tyrell Sutton.
yeah, man. And it was just weird because they was hanging with these cats, man, like they was about to be in a title game or something. Like, they ain't that good. It can't be. You know what I mean? And they probably was over looking past Northwestern like it was nothing. You know what I'm saying? And here we go.
Yeah.
They hang with them stride for stride the whole game. I'm like, I don't understand why or what happened. You know what I'm saying? And all that, talk about, oh, this 5-star recruit and this, top 4-star recruit, whatever, all that stuff went out the window. It was like, look, we just got a bunch of kids out here playing, and we just want to see who get out coached because that game was awesome. And I feel like this is another one of those situations where Northwestern could be another one of those teams where this might be their year where they end up being in the talks again. It just happens
Well,
though. It
well,
just happens with them.
let's not forget. Let's not forget. Northwestern was in the Big Ten title game last year. They were. They were beat on, but they got there.
Yeah, by default.
I mean, default, luck of the draw, whatever you want to call it, they were still there.
Yeah.
Um, I don't see them. I don't see them getting there. I see them getting close because you still got to worry about Wisconsin. Now, if they can get over the Wisconsin hump, then you got a shot. But it still remains to be seen because they haven't played yet.
Mm-hmm.
Two more things about about college football. Pac-12 starts next week, or this week rather. And if I'm not mistaken, either the MAC starts either this week or next week. Who's your favorite for the Pac-12? Who's your favorite for the MAC?
Mm, let's see. Um, I feel bad because with the Mac, I haven't followed it as much. Um, by default, I usually want to go with either like, you know, a Toledo or Northern Illinois or something like that. Um, but what I feel like this season could be something different, like a Western Michigan, Central Michigan type of feel. Um, because those teams are always like in the fight with it too, especially Central Michigan. Central Michigan's been decent forever. Um, them in Northern Illinois has been very consistent. Those two programs over the last 10 years for sure. Because if they're not winning the MAC, they're definitely close to getting into the championship game,
Right.
and they're always like bowl eligible or something like that. So those are two programs that I always like to see. Um, and then once in a while, you may hear about like OU or Miami of Ohio, something like that. But Central Michigan and Northern Illinois have been consistent forever. You know, in the early 2000s, it was more like a Toledo type of feel. Being up in there, knocking off these bigger teams, stuff like that. Nobody wanted to play them, so it's kind of like I still want to go with either Central Michigan or Northern Illinois for the MAC. For the Pac-12, um, I feel like this is a year where we'll probably see a lot more out of USC. Um, I don't know if they have enough to win the Pac-12, but they definitely will be in the discussion this year. And then also, I'm looking at Oregon again. It's just like with them, they just always are like kind of right there. I mean, and it's not even a matter of people who like are into all that flashiness and the jerseys and all that crap. I'm not even thinking about that. We're talking about actual football people. So
Right.
Oregon and USC, those two are going to be the ones that I'm going to be following the hardest when it comes to the Pac-12 this year. And I'm actually going to throw a sleeper in there, and let's pay a little bit more attention to Stanford
I gotta
as
disagree
well
on.
too.
I gotta disagree on the Stanford one. Stanford's been letting me down too many times in the past 3, 4 years for me to even
Yeah.
believe that they gonna be anywhere close to the championship. So I'll give you Oregon,
Hmm.
but I'm looking towards honestly something's telling me since weird shit been happening all year. I'm looking at a rematch between Oregon and Utah, and I think Utah's gonna pull it out this year.
Utah, yeah, I forgot about them. Okay. Yeah,
And
because
then
Utah definitely last year should have been.
they should have been, but they turned that huge pooch in that one. They were gonna be
Yeah.
that was my team to make the playoff from the Pac-12,
Yep.
but
They definitely would have been in there.
um
Man.
and from the MAC, I see believe it or not, I see an Akron Toledo championship game. Now, mind you, they only need 6 games to get to be counted for the MAC championship. They only need 6,
Hmm.
so I believe. Let's look at Akron's schedule real quick, just to give an example. Um,
And then to give you a heads up, the MAC does start this week.
okay,
Um,
so
actually, the first game is on Wednesday.
Ethan, Akron has a favorable schedule. For whatever reason, they got Western Michigan, then they're on the road
Hmm.
against Ohio and Kent, and then they have Miami of Ohio, Bowling Green at home, and then they finish on the road at Buffalo. So those are the 6 games. I think they could pull
See.
it out. I think they can pull it out. But again, 2020, this shit been happening all year. But that's
Hmm.
not for the MAC. I see a MAC championship with Akron and Toledo. I think Akron's overdue, long overdue for a MAC championship,
Oh yeah.
and we will go from there.
The thing
Now,
about Toledo,
go ahead.
now with Toledo, so it looks like so I guess there's a string of MAC games coming on Wednesday night. Um, because Kent State plays Wednesday night.
Well, Tom. Well,
Toledo.
shit. We'll see who's gonna be front runner right then and there.
Oh yeah, because Toledo plays their rival Bowling Green Wednesday night on ESPNU, 8 o'clock.
That's gonna be that already. That's gonna be good.
Yeah, dog, and that's in the Glass Bowl, so you already know how much hype it's gonna be because it's
If
at
it's people,
Toledo.
if it's people allowed to go, I
Yeah,
don't know.
well, yeah, that makes a difference because let me tell you, just from being there, from having that experience, and then also being a student, whatever. The thing is, like, there's so much hype that happens up in there when it's packed up and cannons going off every time they score, and it's just loud.
Yeah, not about the
For a
cannon,
stadium that's that small, it can fit about 30,000 in there though if you pack it
but
up
it's
all the way.
loud. But it's
It's
loud.
just so loud, man. It's so loud. The way they make the way the bowl is set up, and then like the sound bouncing off of the press box, which is really huge for a stadium like that. It's nonsense, man. It's crazy. But that's
All right,
gonna be a game to watch.
all right, we'll see. All right, you brought up the SEC, so I'm gonna bring up this little the new segment in our show called "What the hell is going on?" And the first question I have with this is, "What the hell is going on with LSU, man?
They gave
They
up.
go they go to Auburn and get beat on.
They
They
gave
only
up, man.
score points.
They gave up, man. They gave, bro. Did you hear? They got a senior. Who was it? Somebody just opted out the rest of the season. Was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm about to opt out. I ain't playing the rest of the season, man. I'm cool. It's a senior too. I just saw it like a day ago. I should have shot that to you, but I was looking. I'm like, how you just gonna stop after like 5 games? You just gonna be like, no, I'm cool. I'm gonna stop the rest of the year. What? It's 5 games in. Like you halfway. Listen, man. I'm sorry. I get that they have the option and all of that. I'm not
But
knocking you if you took the option,
I
but
think if you play
the,
free, you should stay in. You have to.
that's what I'm saying. Like, is that even allowed? Like, are you allowed to be like, okay, I'm 5 games in, I'm just gonna sit out the rest of the year. Like, I'm cool. I don't even want to play with y'all no more. I'm gonna get ready for the NFL. That is terrible. That's terrible. Tell me that at the beginning of the year. Don't
Right.
wait until game 5 to be like, Coach. Let me talk to you real quick, man. So, you know, I see we lost some guys, man, and you know we didn't got beat twice by teams who should have beat up on, man. They ended up beating us, and
Man,
it
what?
don't matter. I don't know, man. I think the best thing for me and for my career, and the NFL and all that, man, I'm about to just not play. Because the thing is, like, look, they've
Man,
lost what three
kicking
now?
in hard.
They've lost 3 games, right?
Yep. But
They're
teams they
they're
couldn't
two
beat.
and three. Yeah, man, they only had 11 points against
How do you,
Auburn.
how do you score 11 points against Auburn?
How? Oh man, that was just like. And Auburn is. I mean, they're not horrible, but 11 points. You could have put at least 21 points up on Auburn. Come
LSU syndrome, man. You win
on,
the national championship,
they
and
stinking
you.
on purpose, man. What are you
It's
doing?
not like you can draft anybody, so I don't know why you stink like this.
Right? It's just like y'all just gave up. They literally gave up, bro. I'm telling you, they gave up, man. This don't look right. I don't give a damn if you are, the best team in the country or if you're the worst team. You don't play like this, man. This is bad. Like it just, do they want Edgerrin gone or something? Like I don't understand, man.
You just,
This
I
is
wouldn't think that. I don't think that that's the case because you just won with him. You hadn't won anything worth noting since Les Miles, so I don't think
right.
that's. Um,
And and to make matters worse is they go into a bye week after that. So you go into a bye week after that. You lose one of your seniors who opts out, and then you got to
then
play Bama when you come back.
uh, man, just cancel the season.
It sucks, man. They still got Bama to play. They still got Texas A&M. and they got Florida. Now here's the thing: A&M is not like a crazy, crazy good team, but later in the season,
and
you
it
having
get
to
good.
play them later. That's what I'm saying. Texas
And
A&M
but
later in the season and Florida later in the season. Mm-mm. You don't want to play them too
A&M is
later in the
second
season.
behind A&M is second behind Bama in the West, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
Now
Because you figure,
speaking of
Ole Miss dropped a couple, so I mean, yeah, man, A&M right there, man. Oh
speaking of
my
Florida,
gosh,
what the hell is going on with the ugly ass throwback jerseys that they was wearing?
with the F on
Not
it.
the whole uniform. We would just focus on the jersey and the helmet. Them shits was ugly. I
It
looked at
looked
that game.
like
I
a.
was like, wait, who's? He said when he said Florida, I said that's who? I didn't even know they
I
had them
couldn't even.
uniforms still.
Me neither. I couldn't even tell. Bro, they looking like a team builder team.
Man, that looked like a created team
It's
on
like a
NCAA.
created.
Them shits was on NCAA 03.
Right,
On
not the newer
NCAA
one. That
03, they
was.
look like a created team. Them shits was that shit
You know
was
what they did?
terrible.
That's one of them teams where you're like, all right, I'm gonna take Florida and I'm gonna add colors to them that remind you of Boise State, and I'm gonna give them a blue field and call it, you know, the Gator Dome or whatever you want to call the weird stadiums on the games, and you just put them out there and play a whole season, and end up winning a national championship, 13-0 or something crazy. That's what it looked like when them teams just put together some ugly jersey and say, all right, I'm gonna recruit everybody top, play in the Gator
That
Bowl
shit was still
or
ugly,
whatever.
man. That shit was still
It
ugly.
was
That shit was
terrible.
terrible.
And then the fight,
I was
like,
looking.
why was they fighting? Why were they fighting,
I don't
man?
know. I was trying to figure
They
that
claim it
out
was a
too.
late
It's like,
hit.
but even if it was, bro, you Missouri, you ain't supposed to be fighting. If you're Missouri, your last thought should be fighting anybody else. You need to win.
Especially with
You,
Florida.
not only that, you need to score points. You need to score
I
points.
laughed at it.
This is crazy, man. I
I
don't, I
had
don't,
to.
I don't get it. Like,
It was the funniest thing I have seen in a long time. I was just cracking up because I'm like, y'all really out here fighting these cats,
not
man?
only
And
did
I get it. It's a late hit, but
not
like
only
the
did you
quarterback
lose
wasn't
that
even trying to fight. The quarterback wasn't even trying
but
to
here's
fight.
the
He was like,
thing.
all right,
Not only did you lose that fight, you also lost the game. So everybody saw you lose the fight because your coaches was trying hard to back y'all up. Not only did you lose the
and
fight by default, you lost the game. They just blew you out the water after that.
exactly,
Come on, man. What they ain't even
exactly.
part of what the hell is going on, but we gonna add them to it. What the hell is y'all thinking? Like, why? For what? What was your idea in fighting? And then if you gonna fight, what was you gonna do after that? Because you clearly got no defense. You
None.
didn't, and you got blew out the water. Game over. Terrible, 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 terrible. All right. Um. So as of right now, the top 10 goes as this: Clemson's number one. I think
Hmm.
Bama, Ohio State's three. Notre Dame is fourth. Um, I believe Cincinnati is number six, and they are. I forget who number five is. I'm looking for that right now. Um, BYU's number nine,
Hmm.
and oh, Georgia's five, Florida's eight, Texas A&M is seven, and it's pretty much it that I can find in the top 10 as of right now. So let's do this. Let's go back.
And then you figure, because BYU is what, number 9 or number 7?
I'm
Where,
pulling,
where they at?
I'm pulling up the rankings right now. Okay, top 10:
Hmm.
Clemson, Bama, OSU, Notre Dame, Georgia, Cincinnati, Texas A&M, Florida, BYU, Wisconsin. The top 10 as of right now. Who falls next week? That's the last thing I want to know for the show is over with. Who falls? Who falls this week?
Florida.
Florida. Okay.
Florida.
Well,
You want to know
yeah,
why? You want to know why?
because you a Georgia fan, man. We know.
That's damn right. And we going to Jacksonville this Saturday, the 7th. It goes down. Florida Georgia game. Forget them.
For
Gator
those,
chomp. Get your teeth broke. Gator
oh,
chomp. Forget
this
that.
dude. For those watching at home, like Ronnie just worked himself into a shoot.
Forget that. Forget all that. All y'all Gators out here like this chomping, forget that. Get your teeth broke. Don't nobody care
Um,
about Florida.
calm down, man. It's all right. It's gonna be all right. Okay. So
Mm,
Florida goes down. I got a feeling. I got a feeling Notre Dame might steal this one.
yeah,
I
I
got a
do
feeling.
too.
Don't quote me on saying it's going to happen. I am saying I got a feeling it could happen. Ian Book's been playing out of his mind lately, and the defense has actually showed up. It is very possible that Clemson could actually lose this game. And because of that, we're going to put that as our game of the week. And our game of the week, we're going to keep eyes on that. Um, if I'm not mistaken, I'm looking this up right now. This is a night game, and it's at Notre Dame. Notre Dame brings
Mm,
here. Notre Dame brings Clemson to the house that Touchdown Jesus built, and Newt Rockney and all of them. So this is our sleep. This is our game of the week. It ain't our sleeper game. This is our game of the week.
mm.
Keep in mind, Trevor Lawrence is out.
Out.
Notre Dame is bringing everybody in healthy, ready to go. They just blew the doors off Georgia Tech. Clemson just eked out a squeaker against Boston College. We gonna have to see. It's just I want everybody watching pay attention to this game because this game is gonna be the tell-all of how the college playoff may look, assuming either Clemson pulls it out or Notre Dame gets the upset. Um, just keep an eye on that because after that they have a very favorable schedule because that Wake Forest game was postponed, and looking at Notre Dame's schedule, they'll be playing that at the end of the season.
Mm.
It's Wake Forest. It's a Hooper school. The only real other test that they would have would be Boston College and UNC. Syracuse is on here, but it's Syracuse. Syracuse ain't been good since McNabb left. So,
Facts.
uh, just keep an eye on this game. I'm encouraging all you college football people who really know college football. Keep an eye on this game if you're looking for a team to sneak into the playoff. Notre Dame might do it should they pull this game out. So I'm
Speaking of games, and this is something I should have said before, man. So for those of you that are going to be watching MAC football, the entire MAC conference plays Wednesday. The entire MAC conference between 6 and 8 o'clock. So you could literally watch 6 different games at one time
on a
once the third
Wednesday.
quarter starts on a Wednesday. Once that third quarter starts of the
That's
last game, you're watching
that's
6 games at once.
right. And the MAC
Unheard
is
of.
football. Very
Man,
entertaining football.
because here you go, Mel. You got a game on ESPN Plus. That's the first one. So you got Eastern Michigan, Kent State. ESPN 3, you got Western Michigan, Akron. ESPN 2, this is the 7 o'clock games. You got Buffalo, Northern Illinois, and then Ohio and Central Michigan on regular ESPN. Then you have CBS SN, which will have Ball State, Miami of Ohio, and then Bowling Green and Toledo at 8 o'clock on ESPN. Wednesday is packed,
And
and I'm
I'll be
here
one.
for it.
And you know what makes me mad? I just want to get this off my chest. You know what makes me mad? you know how we be watching ESPN and when the MAC games come on and all these stadiums look so extravagant and beautiful. I was disappointed when I went to Dick Stadium at Kent, man. I was so disappointed. Now,
Oh,
mind you, I had a job where we reconditioned their football equipment.
hmm
So I was like, matter of fact, remember that bowl game that they had those ugly ass yellow helmets with the little eyes on the front? Yeah,
yes.
that was us. We painted that. Um, so the story is, we go down there to do this job and give
hmm
that helmet, paint that helmet rather, and I'm like, man, we get to go. I get to go to Kent State, see the wagon wheel because they had it at the time,
Yep, they
and
did.
see the wagon wheel and everything. I was excited. Lo and behold, you gotta walk. Well, at the time, we pull up and it's a mile from the stadium to the parking lot. And the guy who was the groundskeeper and the equipment manager and everything, he's like, man, don't park all the way up there. Just pull up to the front of the gate. So we pull up to the front of the gate. I'm like, yeah, I get to see Dick Stadium. I go up through the one little trench, the walkway. So disappointed. So disappointed. That shit looked like, man, it looked like Collinwood when it first got built, bro.
Yeah, man. It's
Like, I got it. I get it. It's one of the oldest stadiums. For those that don't know, it's one of the oldest stadiums in Ohio. One of the oldest stadiums in the MAC conference series.
super old.
Super, super old. Like 20,000 people can fit in that place. But just to see it, I was like, damn, bro. I took pictures. I don't even remember if I still had them or not, but I took them anyway. I was like, damn. I was, this shit don't look
Right.
nothing like ESPN be having it look.
It's funny because
Nothing.
like from the outside looking in, like when you first pull up on it, you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. It
Yeah,
look all
yeah.
pretty or whatever. Got these little pictures, and
And
half
then
of
when
that
you get
stadium is pictures or banners. That's
right,
really what
the
it is.
visitor
Yeah.
side is so depressing. It looks so fucking depressing.
It's like being
I
in
was,
high school, man.
and it's lopsided too. If you've
Right.
ever
It's
been,
like this big.
no, the field is lopsided. Like
Oh, the field is definitely uneven.
if you look at it, it's like this little, it's like a Patrick Henry slope,
Yeah.
and it's like the slope comes right here, and then the field just drops on this side. I was like, man, what the hell, man? They
The
they
only
just
way to fix
ruined
that
my.
is to rebuild it.
They won't. It just like killed my whole imagination of this stadium.
You
I
know what's
was
funny
like,
about that place? It's actually more attractive being inside of the practice facility than it is in the actual stadium.
we had to get all their equipment from the stadium. We didn't even see the practice facility,
Practice
but
facility
just
is
to
nice.
see
It's
it,
right next door.
no, they made it. Everything was at the stadium. Everything.
Wow, that's weird.
I the
It's
only
funny
good
because
I had crossed that off my football bucket list. Other than that, I was just like,
I laugh because like it's teams like that you look at and go, do y'all deserve a practice facility? Do y'all really deserve one? Because you got
man,
teams like Toledo, right? Toledo don't have one. And a team like that, I can tell you from experience and trying to be with them in the first place, like the way they did it was they had conditioning in the it was across the street, like where they have the rec center.
hmm
So you have your rec center, and then they have like another building next to that. It's like a little place where you can like hoop or whatever, and whatever community courts they use indoor or whatever. That's where they were doing like their conditioning at was across the street inside of the rec center or that little piece that's next to the rec center is where they conditioned when it came to like longer sessions and whatnot because they had the weights and all that stuff in the actual stadium's little facility right behind that. So you walk in, it's like a long hallway, and you got your workout room, and you keep going. It's a bunch of like classrooms and places where you can do like study hall and film sessions, whatever. But that's pretty much it. So if you weren't conditioning in this building across the street, you were pretty much like doing it the way we used to do it at the Wood, man, in the parking lot or some other places trying to get creative,
I
or you were
almost,
driving to other facilities, man. It was bad because
I
a
almost,
football program that good back then didn't
I
have the
almost,
amenities that you would thought,
I almost went looking for Josh Cribbs' agent, publicist, somebody,
man.
James Harrison too. I was like, man, what kind of sorry ass shit is this?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, y'all really set me up for the okie doke. I was happy. I was
Yep.
so
It's
excited to go
crazy.
see this. Get there, Collinwood looked better than that, man.
Yeah. That's how they do it over there, man. They put more money into the amenities for the students, bro. They don't give
And,
two craps about that football team, man.
and ESPN made that shit look so extravagant. Every time Penn
Mm-hmm.
State TV, I was like, man, that shit looks gorgeous.
It's like the way that Cleveland look on, CBS when they be like showing the lake and all the we're downtown and here's Lake Erie and here's,
And
the
then
Science Center and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the home of rock and
UPS
roll.
freezing your
And
ass off.
right, I'd be like, I remember growing up there and I remember being across the street and how dirty it was in around that area. You talking about like where the flats is at and stuff and that place that overlooks like, First Energy and all that. Nah, they be catching all the pretty shots. I'm like, man, I know where that's at. It ain't that pretty right
Like,
there.
yeah, man, that shit had me feeling some type
I'll
of
be
way, man.
mad every time I see that. Every time I see that, or I see Progressive Stadium when it be on the night games, whatever for the Indians, man,
I
and they be
almost,
showing like the interstate right there on I-90. I'm like, it don't
y'all see
look
that?
that good.
Y'all see the cop
Yeah,
be over?
right. Like y'all turn the sound off because the siren's about to go off or whatever. Somebody
Right,
like,
right.
come on, man.
Yeah,
They
bro,
be
man. I almost turned into a Karen on that one. Almost wrote them a letter. I need to talk to somebody, man, because y'all had this shit looking so fucking fantastic. And
man.
I get, and it looks like shit. 5 people all in the stadium, and it was like I will say this: the good thing about it is that they give you a good. It made it so it's a good crowd experience. Like the crowd
Hmm.
is really on top of you. But other than that, I was disappointed. Like being in InfoCision, gorgeous,
Oh yeah.
gorgeous.
When they built that up, man, I was like, ooh,
And the crowd is on
ooh,
top of you there too.
that's a
Crowd
nice
is
facility.
the crowd is really on top of you there, so they got a home field advantage for certain.
And that's the thing, man, because Kent got the money, man. They don't want to invest in their team. Prime
They should.
example, and this is the last thing I'll say about it. Because after going there and being like, alumni, whatever, blah, blah, blah. After going there, the problem is that they would rather take that money, make the dorms look extra, extra pretty, try to attract more people that way. And then this is gonna sound terrible, but it's just what it is. They spent all that money they could have had put into the football team on the museum they built, like a little memorial museum for the people that was taken out during like those shootings with the National Guard, right? So you figure this is what like the 50th anniversary or something like that this past year, and they literally built that up to show like the different events that led up to it. They got paintings, old pictures of these students that used to go there, and no disrespect to those families and what happened, but I'm just like, man, I don't want to be consistent, like constantly thinking about that when I'm walking to class or something like that. About okay, because they had places where you were walking, literally from like the main area or that hill where all that happened, over
Mm-hmm.
to the phys ed building where I was at, going to class and stuff. From the EHH building to that, it was just weird because they had these random little like bronze plaques in the ground
Oh
where
wow.
people had died. Like it was just like I don't want to look at that every time I go to class. Like I get it, it was sad it happened, but that's not something I need to be constantly thinking about every time I'm walking. Like, oh, that's where old dude bled out.
Yeah.
Okay, eerie. You know what I'm saying? But that's what they did. So they got rid of that stuff, and then they built this museum or whatever, kind of like right in that area. So the money was there, man. The money was there, but
I mean, the money
you know they
might
do what
still
they
be
want to do.
there. The team isn't that. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
the money might still be there. Say, I would say they could build on it or just renovate it to where it holds up. Because truthfully,
Yeah,
the space they have for Dick Stadium, you could turn that place into a dome if you really wanted to,
you could,
because
you could, it should.
it's literally a mile from the parking lot is literally a mile from the stadium. They shuttle fans to the field, so I don't see why they wouldn't. But
Right.
again, we ain't there no more. I was never there. I just worked for the company that did their equipment, painted them ugly ass helmets for that bowl game. Oh, for those that are wondering, when I get a chance, I'll actually post a picture of what that helmet and that uniform looked like for the bowl game that we did their equipment. It's terrible, terrible. All right, folks, that does it for this episode of 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth. We'll probably go audio only next week, depending on how the weekend in football goes. November 15th, we will have a special guest, Daquan Young, former indoor football player and a great friend of ours. He has a lot to talk about, a lot to get off his chest being a Lions fan. So
Man.
we will see what he has to say about the Lions and the state that they're in. But he will be joining us November 15th at 8 p.m. So stay tuned and watch that. Um, we are working on the Friday night super fight tournament still. We got somebody sent me a very special request. I'm not going to tell you what they requested, but I'm going to tell you it's very interesting, and I'm going to send it to you after this is over with. So we will be keeping up with that. We're going to update you guys on that too. Um, we just got a lot of content coming for you. We might have a contest coming up, and probably going to be something special for you guys, our viewers. So just stay tuned. We're going to figure out what we can and can't get away with. But as of right now, we will be working on that to let you guys know we appreciate everything that you've done for us, as far as viewership, subscribing, liking our fan page, all of that. So with that being said, 4th and 15, I'm Mel. That's Smooth. Peace.